historic rematch. The last time these two met, Tatis took Park out of the park twice. Chan-Ho and Fernando, a grand slam reunion. Check out the Blue Crews version of the West Coast offense. Raul Mondesi on pace for 60 home runs. And speedster Eric Young leads the league in thefts. Is the king of SWAT back in the swing? After a slow start, Mark starting to unload. The Cards of the Dodgers next on FX Baseball Saturday Night. FX welcomes you to downtown St. Louis, Missouri. Just blocks from the arch from Busch Stadium, the second of a three-game series between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Baseball Saturday Night. Kenny Albert along with Jeff Torborg. And, Jeff, over the first month and a half of the season, there have been a couple of surprises here in St. Louis.
Boy, you're not kidding. You know, when you came into the season, everyone thought home run leader, Mark McGwire. Rookie of the year will be J.D. Drew. Well, right now, these guys are not having the greatest of years. They still might. But there are two other people on this ball club that are really doing a job. Fernando Tatis is fourth in the league in home runs. Joe McEwing is hitting .339, first of all National League rookies. So there's a kind of a changing in the guard, at least at this part of the season.
And the last time Fernando Tatis faced tonight's Dodger starting pitcher, Chan-Ho Park, April 23rd at Dodger Stadium, baseball history. 2 Grand Slam home runs in 1 inning off the bat of Tatis, the first time that has ever happened. A Major League record, 8 RBIs in the 3rd inning of that game against Chan-Ho Park. Now, as far as the Dodgers are concerned, just a half game behind the Giants in the National League West, led by Raul Mondesi and his co-league leading 13 home runs.
Kenny, this guy is a 5-tool player. A lot of people have talked for years, wait till he gets it all together. This week alone, he hit 2 back-to-back games with 2 home runs in each game, and he's becoming more selective as a hitter. He's got better people around him in the lineup. This guy might have a breakout year.
13 home runs for Mondesi, on pace for 60. We'll have the first pitch in just a couple of minutes, but when we return to St. Louis, Jeff Torborg and the manager of the Dodgers, Davey Johnson. Stadium in St. Louis as we get set for the Cardinals and the Dodgers. Earlier tonight, my partner Jeff Torborg sat down with the manager of the Dodgers, Davey Johnson.
Davey, your Dodger ball club had an excellent spring. You've got outstanding ability on this ball club, and yet, until last night, you had not won 2 games in a row in May. The little bit of inconsistency, is that concerns you at all or surprised you?
Not really. I mean, you know, guys have, some of them have been over trying, you know, at home plate, trying to hit the slider way out of the ballpark. The starting staff has been very inconsistent. We've had a lot of off days. The bullpen has had some injuries and personnel changes, so, you know, we haven't really come together as a team yet, and but we're getting closer.
Well, your big gun, Raul Mondesi, is really off to an outstanding start. What have you and your staff done to get him to be more selective and it's really, in essence, stepped his game up a notch?
Well, when I hit him 5th, I got him so mad at me that he started really hitting. But really, he is... I think Sheffield's probably had the biggest influence on him. You know, Sheffield's talked to him and said, look, you know, if they're not going to throw it over, you know, let somebody else behind you. Don't try to do too much at home plate. And certainly Sheffield's been that way his whole career. And that's what's made him a great hitter. And Mondesi's doing it. And his on-base percentages. I think he's got more walks right now than he had all of last year. That's how good he is.
Davey, I really appreciate you taking time with us. Thank you.
And the starting pitchers for tonight's game for the Dodgers, Chan-Ho Park with a record of 3 up and 2 down. Kent Bottenfield, 2-0 here at home. A team-high 5 victories on the season for the St. Louis Cardinals. Dodgers won the game last night, 7-3 with 7 runs in the 7th inning. Raul Mondesi, 13 home runs for the Dodgers. Fernando Tatis has 11. And there is the man, Mark. Baseball Saturday on FX is brought to you by Amoco Ultimate. You expect more from a leader, and you get it. By Georgia Pacific Plywood. Smart builders use it. Smart homeowners ask for it. And by Volvo. Volvo for life. Back in St. Louis, the Cardinals with a .500 record, 17 up, 17 down. And the Dodgers at 20 and 15. Dodgers have won 2 in a row, 3 of their last 4. The Dodgers batting order for tonight's game. Eric Young with 18 stolen bases will lead things off, followed by 21-year-old third baseman Adrian Beltre, hot over his last 9 games. Gary Sheffield bats third. Sheffield second in the National League in runs. Raul Mondesi in the cleanup spot. And then the catcher, the ex-Met Todd Huntley. Eric Karros bats sixth. Todd Hollinsworth for the injured Devon White in center field. Mark Grudzielanek is the shortstop. And on the mound for the Dodgers tonight, Chan Ho Park against 30-year-old right-hander Kent Bottenfield.
Kenny, this is a big guy, 6'3", 240 pounds. He throws a sinker, about 90 miles an hour. Good slider. When he's on, it's a strikeout pitch. Throws a changeup. He's very aggressive. He holds runners well for a big guy.
Bottenfield has already tied his career high with 5 victories. He won 5 games back in '93 with the Expos and the Rockies. This is 8th start of the year. He beat the Dodgers in Los Angeles on April 25th, 6-4. He's 3-0 lifetime against the Dodgers. As Eric Young steps in, and we are underway in St. Louis. Strike one called by the home plate umpire, Randy Marsh. Joe West working first base. Angel Hernandez at second. Larry Vanover over at third. Here's the 0-1 to Young. Now 1-1.
No, it's so important for any ball club, but especially the Dodger tradition of getting a leadoff hitter who could run. Eric Young coming back to the Dodgers, having come through the organization back from the Rockies.
Fly ball right center. And the catch is made by Eric Davis. One away. Defensively for the St. Louis Cardinals, they are ranked 13th in the National League. McGuire has not committed an error this season. McEwing, Polanco, and Tatis. In the outfield, Langford, Bragg, and Davis with Eli Marrero behind the plate. Both Tatis and Davis returning. There's McGuire. Tatis and Davis have both missed the last 2 games with the flu, which has gone around the Cardinals clubhouse. 0-1 on Adrian Beltre, who was moved up to the number 2 spot in the batting order by Davey Johnson last night for the first time this season. He had been in the bottom third of the order. Beltre takes strike 2. The number 2 hitters for the season had been batting only .208, so Davey made the switch yesterday. Beltre went 1 for 5 with an RBI. The 0-2, and here's a fly ball to deep right. 2 up, 2 down as Davis takes the catch once again. Beltre retired.
Tell you what I was talking about before, when you've got a leadoff hitter like Eric Young who can run and gets on base, you saw his on-base percentage, then the rest of your lineup, especially those immediately behind him, if he's on base, will get more fastballs. They'll be pitched to more often. And you can see what Davey Johnson has been doing, trying to shift his lineup around, putting Beltre with the kind of average he has up in the number 2 spot to get your offense going early. Boy, when you got a club that can jumpstart an offense early at the front end of the order, it makes a major difference.
Here's Gary Sheffield working on a 6-game hitting streak. He had 2 hits last night. Strike 1 called. Sheffield became a Dodger 1 year ago today. That huge deal with the Florida Marlins. And he is the only player remaining in Los Angeles. Bobby Bonilla, Jim Eisenreich, and Charles Johnson also became Dodgers on May 15th, 1998 with Mike Piazza and Todd Zeile heading to Miami. Although not for long. Here's the 1-1 to Sheffield. Off-speed pitch. 1-2.
Gary Sheffield, you see, he likes L.A. The numbers are very nice looking, and he's had some great years. Remember, just down the road from L.A. when he was at San Diego, he almost won the Triple Crown, having come over those years that he spent originally with Milwaukee to San Diego, much like the left coast.
1-2-3 inning for Kent Bottenfield as Sheffield goes down on strikes. The bottom of the first, Tony La Russa's St. Louis Cardinals have lost 3 in a row, and 5 of their last 6. They're only 2-6 on this homestand so far. And for the Cardinals, center fielder Darren Bragg will lead things off, followed by Rookie of the Year candidate Joe McEwing. Ninth in the National League, batting .339. Mark McGwire with 8 home runs, 2 in his last 4 games. Ray Lankford homered last night. He is in the cleanup spot. Fernando Tatis with 11 taters, including 2 grand slams in 1 inning against the Dodgers. Eric Davis returning to the lineup tonight, bats 6th. The bottom 3, Eli Marrero, Polanco, and Bottenfield against 25-year-old right-hander Chan Ho Park with a record of 3-2.
Chan-Ho Park is what you might call your classic power pitcher. 4-seam fastball. I mean, that's a rider. He's in the mid-90s. Straight down, little tight curveball. Slider can be sharp but erratic. He's a power pitcher, and he really goes at you.
Park a no decision in his last start on Sunday against the Marlins. Dodgers led the game 4-0. Park allowed 3 home runs in the late innings. Florida won the game 6-4 as Darren Bragg fouls off the first pitch from Park. Park 2-2 lifetime against the Cardinals, including the loss back on April 23rd. He was shelled. 11 runs, 6 earned in 2 2/3. And that pitch hit Bragg. So Darren Bragg heads down to first. First time Bragg has been hit by a pitch this season.
You'll see him get hit. He doesn't need to be hit again. He's already got a dislocated finger on one hand, the jammed thumb on the other.
So the Cardinals have the leadoff man on. Defensively for the Dodgers, they are ranked 6th in the National League, with Karros, Young, Frutzelanic, and Beltre, Sheffield, Hollingsworth, and Mondesi. Hundley behind the plate. The shortstop, the former Expo, only 2 errors this year. He committed 33 last year. As McEwing's bunt rolls foul towards the Dodgers dugout. 0-1.
You're looking at a guy who's a very good athlete. Remember, he was very unhappy up in Montreal. His contract was renewed a couple times, and he had over 200 hits one season. But last year, he struggled defensively, and a lot of that is mental. You just start to believe that you're going to mess things up. So if you get good mechanics, you see different clubs throughout baseball have started to work with some of their infielders. For example, the White Sox with their young shortstop Caruso, who had a lot of errors last year, cut down his throwing motion. And Gruzelanek probably has changed something in his whole demeanor playing at shortstop. And, you know, it was just interesting watching McEwing trying to lay down a bunt. This guy is a young player at the major league level, but he's been through the minor leagues for a lot of years. He'll try anything to beat you.
And he fouls this one off down the right field line. 0-2.
Chan-Ho Park is a young, strong pitcher with a right-over-the-top delivery. Earned run average is elevated now because of that one game against the Dodgers. But when you see 38 strikeouts in 40 1/3 innings, you know you got a strikeout pitcher. Anytime you get close in that ratio, you know you got a guy who can throw the ball by somebody.
And since that tough loss to the Cardinals, he's gone 2-0 in 3 starts, averaging a strikeout per inning.
Renee Latchman at third base giving the signs. Both the hitter looking, Darren Bragg, the runner at the top right, also looking. Not the time you would see a hit and run, but it's the time that you might see some running.
Yeah, and there's a base hit into right field off the bat of McEwing. Bragg holds up at second. And the Cardinals have first and second with nobody out, and Mark McGwire stepping up to the plate.
Here's McEwing hitting the ball to right field. Now, when he runs to first base, he knows he's got a base hit, but he's afraid of Mondesi's arm. So he doesn't round first. He runs right through the base. He's afraid. He's not going to be embarrassed by that ball being a line drive to right field and having Mondesi throw him out at first base.
McGwire 0 for 3 last night. Lifetime against Chan-Ho Park. He's 3 for 6. He's walked 3 times. No home runs.
Well, this big guy's about ready to explode somewhere along the way here. He's been overanalyzed, I'm sure, by everybody in the game. There's been a lot of talk. I saw somebody talking about, or written somewhere, that he's changed his approach to hitting because he hit a couple balls out to right field. I think he's probably taking what they're giving him at this particular point, but before long you'll start to see him take the ball in the outer half of the plate and hook it right out of the ballpark. He's just so strong, but sometimes we forget he's still human.
And he hits this one in the air to center. Todd Hollandsworth is under it, makes the catch as Bragg heads towards third. So the Cardinals now have first and third with one out.
Well, you hear people talk, especially in the game, and some folks up in the booth, and they'll say, well, he just missed the pitch. Well, you know, I used to go back. I was a lousy hitter, and every time I made a nice, I just missed it. But he truly just missed that. Whenever you see a big power hitter hit a ball that high and just get under it, Mark McGwire just missed hitting that ball way out of here.
What did Mark tell you before the game? Whenever you're in town to do the telecast, he never hits a home run?
Yeah, only when I was in the other dugout managing against him, he tore us up. But he'll get there. And this is one of the reasons he'll get there, too. Ray Lankford hitting behind him is going to make a major difference because he protects him. Pitchers can't make the perfect pitch to McGwire when you have Lankford behind him, who is very capable of putting up big numbers as he did last year. 31 home runs last year and 105 RBIs. But it's important how the lineup is laid out.
First and third. This one gets away from the catcher, Hundley. And moving over to second base is Joe McEwing.
Now that ball really surprised Todd Hundley. Todd Hundley is a real battler behind the plate. Take another look at this pitch. Now here's normally a pitcher who throws a four-seam fastball that goes straight. That ball Todd doesn't even realize it's not in his glove at that particular point. That ball moved on him, and normally Candhope Park's fastballs kind of ride on you. When you throw a four-seamer, it goes up. It doesn't sink like that. And that comes from over-choking the grip on the ball occasionally.
Pass ball charged to Hundley, so now two Cardinals in scoring position. Lankford takes strike one. He homered last night. This is 19th game, coming back from off-season knee surgery. The 1-1 from Park. Fouled off back behind third base. 1-2.
Ray Lankford is such a tough out. The fact that he hits left-handed behind McGwire, now there's something wrong. Now we'll take a look at the batter profile. You're talking about Ray Lankford's got good power straight away and to right field. Prefers the ball down in the zone, not over the plate. They'll take what pitchers give him. But we were wondering just for a minute before we showed the profile what Candhope Park was asking for. He's asking for something to get the dirt out of his spikes. You know, this seems like for fans who haven't ever been on a rubber or out on a mound there trying to throw the ball, what has happened is before the game they'll wet the field down a little bit, and the mound might get a little damp underneath the surface on top. You can see there's a little rubber mat there that you can clean your feet on. But if you get dirt clogged up on your feet and you go to throw the ball to the plate, you feel like you're on roller skates and you can almost fall down on a pitch. And that's a good way to get hurt. Charlie Strasser, the trainer for the Dodgers, is out trying to work that mud out of Candhope Park spikes. But it seems like a little thing, but if you've ever tried to do anything with a clog of mud on a set of boots or something you had, you just can't do it.
So now Park is set, 1-2. And the pitch to Lankford. Good block this time by Hundley.
This is a nice play. Todd Hundley caught for me when I was managing the Mets, and he is a hard nose, but this one just saved a run. Watch where the pitch is. It's a breaking ball that almost hits Lankford. Hundley slides over and blocks it. I mean, you're putting your body in front of this, and it's going to hurt at times. He is a tough competitor, and he is going through a tough year and a half or 2 years now, counting last year with the Mets with an elbow injury, as you see him working with a pitcher. But as a young catcher with the Mets with a veteran staff, he was outstanding. A little trouble getting together the communication of the pitches. But remember, there's a runner at second base, so you have to use a sequence of signs with a runner at second.
2-2 and Park strikes out Lankford. The strikeout for Candhope Park.
Well, this is a nasty curveball. After showing him fastballs, the last two pitches were curveballs. One in the dirt and then this one. This thing goes straight down. Watch how it goes down. Right over the top and down. almost pancaked that ball. Instead of catching that ball, that's how much that thing was moving. And he knew it was coming.
Park 7th in the National League, strikeouts per 9 innings. Here's Tatis returning after missing the last 2 with the flu. Comes to the plate with runners on 2nd and 3rd. And 2 outs here in the Cardinals' first. 2 grand slams in the 3rd inning off Park. Last time they faced one another, April 23rd, in Chavez Ravine. This time he comes to the plate with 2 men up. Park misses 2-0.
Well, it's interesting to watch the pitch sequence. The first pitch was a fastball right in the middle of the plate, but up just a little bit in the strike zone. This next pitch was a curveball. And you remember what you just said, 2 grand slams against him the last time he faced him in 1 inning. You'd wonder how he was going to go after him this time. Obviously, he remembers what he threw to him last time, but he challenged him on the first pitch.
Now 3-0 with Eric Davis waiting on deck. Well, Park allowed 11 runs in that game in 2 2/3. Only 6 of the 11 were earned. Since then, only 6 in 20 2/3.
Well, he's got an open base now and a 3-0 count. I doubt very much whether they'll try to challenge him here. They're being very careful. You can see Todd Hundley line up way outside. They're going to see if Tatis would run, take a chance of going out, lean over the plate and try to hit it, but they weren't giving him anything to hit.
So Eric Davis will come to the plate now. With the bases loaded, Cardinals already have 4 grand slams this year. The 2 by Tatis, Sean Dunston with 1, and Mark McGwire off Greg Maddux.
Charlie Huff on the right, the pitching coach. Tremendous pitcher in his time and also one super guy. Boy, I played with him. I went into his first game as his catcher, and I also managed him.
Eric Davis's bat hit 2 grand slams this year.
Oh.
Fernando Tatis was using a Davis model against Park.
Players will do that. They'll mess around and use somebody else's bat. It might feel a little better on that particular day. Chan-Ho Park's type of stuff he's got right now in the past has been the kind of stuff that Eric Davis has had trouble with. That high-riding fastball. But Eric Davis, who holds his hands down around his waist, can really generate bat speed on balls down in the strike zone, and sometimes has a little trouble catching up to the ball up in the strike zone. Be interesting to see how the Dodgers go after him.
Eric Davis, a Los Angeles native, a former Dodger. He played for Davey Johnson in Baltimore. 1-1 count with the bases loaded and 2 outs. 10 career grand slams. Ground ball to the 3rd baseman. Beltre gets the force at 2nd, and Park works out of the bases loaded situation in the bottom of the 1st. No score from Busch. Still working on getting all the dirt and mud out of his cleats. Kent Bottenfield on the left retired the Dodgers 1-2-3 in the 1st inning, and he will face Mondesi, Hundley, and Karros, the middle of the order, here in the 2nd. Bottenfield, 4th in the National League in earned run average, 2.59. He's 5-1. No other Cardinals pitcher has more than 2 victories. And the challenge here for Bottenfield comes in the form of Raul Mondesi, who has 13 home runs, tied for the Major League lead with Jay Bell. Mondesi with 32 runs batted in. As he takes ball 1, Mondesi on pace for 60 homers. His career best, 30, which he has accomplished twice, including last year. Check swing, ball 2, 2-0.
Well, we were talking about Mondesi, what kind of hitter he really is. Just take a look at this hot zone. Where it's in red, you see that's where he hits the ball the best. And he likes the ball up in the zone and then out over the plate as well.
Base hit it to left center. First hit of the game for the Dodgers. Mondesi going for 2. They got him.
I'll tell you what, this was a good play by both teams. This is aggressive base running you'd like to see. Mondesi can fly. 5'11", 220-pound locomotive. But this is aggressive baseball, but it was also a good defensive play. Right out of the box, you can see him hit this ball, and he's hauling. He's got this in his mind that he's going to try to go for second. I like this kind of baseball, but the Cardinals defended it very well. Good hard side, head first. Here's McEwing taking the throw and coming back and tagging. That's good baseball on both teams' parts.
Now Todd Hundley steps in. Hundley with a hit in each of his last 3 games. He's raised the average over the last 12 games. 364 after a slow start. Coming back from the elbow surgery, Hundley in 1996 set a major league record for catchers, 41 home runs. Strike call, 2-1. One out of the Dodgers' second. 2-2.
Kenny, I've been watching Todd Hundley as he's really coming back. Here's a guy who sat out most of last year, tried to play left field, was embarrassed. He's a catcher trying to play left field with a bad throwing arm. And I'll tell you what, for anybody to have the guts to even try that, this guy's special. But he's just starting to come around. Here you can see what happened in quick order last year. Piazza cross starting with the Dodgers, and then Charles Johnson coming over, now Todd Hundley. But before this season's over, Hundley will get his offense in gear.
Base hit right field for Hundley. Extends his hitting streak to 4 games.
Todd Hundley's the kind of player the manager loves because he'll leave everything he has on the field every night. That's how hard he plays. He's a switch hitter. His game is coming now left-handed. He's really struggling right-handed. Got much better power left-handed, but this man hit 41 home runs. He's a catcher's record for home runs. But watch this. Open stance, goes back to the plate, and then goes down and gets this ball, and hits a bullet to right field.
He doesn't have a hit right-handed this year, 0-9. Batting .270 from the left side. Eric Karros batting .265. He's also struck out 32 times, 6th in the National League. Karros, the senior-most Dodger. His 8th season in Los Angeles out of UCLA. 1-1.
Eric Karros is a guy that, there's always a guy in a ball club that some people just kind of take for granted. This is a guy that has been a big producer for them the whole time he's been with the organization. Last year he struggled. He had a bad knee, but he came back and he had a tremendous second half. But when he first came up, he was a dead low ball hitter, meaning he did not handle the ball real well up above his belt. Well, what he has done to make the adjustment, when he first came up, as we look at his stance, he first came up, he held his hands low right in here. Now you'll see his hands are up above, up high, and that enables him to get to the high pitch.
And Karros is called out on strikes. Second strikeout for Bottenfield. 2 away.
This is a fastball on the outer half of the plate, as you can see, and it looks like that ball came back on the plate a little bit. Nice job of catching the ball by Marrero. Karros did not believe that was a strike, I don't believe. He's looking for a ball a little bit more on the plate. But ball players will make adjustments throughout their careers. In fact, we were talking about Cal Ripken. He changes from game to game sometimes with his stance, what feels good.
Todd Hollinsworth starting his 5th consecutive game in center field for the injured Devon White. Out with a hamstring problem. Hollinsworth missed the first 16 games in April with a hamstring strain of his own. Hundley, the runner on first with 2 out. Hollinsworth held up 2-0.
Well, Todd Hollinsworth, when he first came up, another one of those long line of those Dodger rookies of the year, and then the following year struggle, ended up in the minor leagues. When he first came up, his swing was a little long, and he has shortened up his swing as well. Rick Down, the new hitting coach for the Dodgers, very, very good hitting coach, had been with the Yankees and the Orioles.
Bottenfield misses now. 3 balls, no strikes.
They got a situation here. If you're Davy Johnson doing something to maybe build the confidence and get one of his hitters going, will he let him hit 3-0? He just might in this situation.
And Hollingsworth takes strike 1.
And if you do this as a manager, you allow a hitter to hit in a situation like this, you have to be confident in your mind that he is going to be selective and not just hit anything thrown up there, but he's going to go after a pitch he might see. And Davy Johnson is a master at building the confidence of his players and getting the most out of his players. He'll agitate him a little bit, but they know he's on their side.
Base hit up the middle. 3rd hit of the inning for the Dodgers.
You know, one of the first things you think about now was Mondesi getting thrown out leading off the inning. And there are people who say, well, you don't want to see somebody get thrown out at second base. More often you say, well, you never want to see somebody make the first out at third. But you don't want to take the aggressiveness away from a ball club, from an individual player and collectively. And it took a terrific play to get him, so you can't even think twice about it. But there are times you say 3 hits in an inning and nothing's happened yet as far as scoring.
And of course, had Mondesi remained at first, or if he were safe at second, they might have pitched differently to Hundley and Karros and Hollingsworth.
Very good.
So 2 on, 2 out for Grudzielanek. He had 2 hits last night. Strike 1 call. Talked about his fielding problems last year. 33 errors during the offseason. He went down to the Bunky Den Baseball School to work on his fielding. Only 2 errors this year. 0-2.
Well, he went to go to learn from a good man because Bucky Dent was a sure-handed, nothing fancy. Not unbelievable range and flipping the ball underhand, but he was very consistent. And that's really what you want out of your shortstop. Sure, you'd love to have guys have fantastic range and he's, you know, can make acrobatic plays, but you really want consistency out of the middle of your defense.
The 0-2 from Bottenfield. Just misses on the outside corner. 1-2.
You know, you see a lot of close pitches. Well, the umpire behind the plate tonight, Randy Marsh, is one of the best umpires in baseball. When I managed in the National League and went over and watched this guy work, he is really a sincere, hard-working, very good umpire. I don't know if anybody caught just what Marrero just did. Before that pitch, he tapped his glove up under Grudzelanek's ear, just inside, because a lot of times a hitter will not look down. You don't want to look down and look at location, but the catcher Marrero tapped his glove inside to try to get Grudzielanek to think he was going to set up inside when they were going away. See if he does it again.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fouled off the catcher Marrero. So Grudzielanek stays alive.
You know, there are a lot of little things that a catcher can do. That little trick of tapping the glove up under the hitter's ear, and they're thinking, uh-oh, they're coming inside. They're also where the catcher will sometimes shake to make his pitcher shake his head no in a certain fastball situation. There are a lot of little things that a catcher can do to help his pitcher.
Just missing once again. Full count on Grudzielanek.
Now you're in the hitter's count, and the hitter now, you look at his hit zone, you know right now where he's looking for the ball. Now Grudzielanek obviously is a high ball hitter looking at these numbers that you see here. These hot zones, hit zones are things you show your pitching staff very quickly. Quick reflex refresher.
Grudzielanek went around. third strikeout for Bottenfield, and the Dodgers strand 2. Darren Bragg threw out Mondesi for the first out of the inning. Darren Bragg of the Cardinals helped keep the Dodgers off the scoreboard with his throw from center on Mondesi's single, which he tried to stretch into a double.
The little things in the game can win games for you, both from the offensive aggressive side, and that one obviously didn't work for the Dodgers, but Darren Bragg making a perfect throw into second base cut the Dodgers down, and they did not score as a result.
Bottom of the order for the Cardinals, who left the bases loaded in the first inning against Chan-Ho Park, as Eli Marrero pops this one up. Shallow left field. Sheffield one away.
That's a lot of outfield assists this early in the season. There are a lot of times clubs will run on guys who have weak arms. That's why they're up there in the assist category. This guy's got a good arm. It's just that he's very aggressive.
But he only has 8 good fingers.
Well, you're not kidding. He's banged. I can't believe he's playing. Dave McKay before the game was telling us how he's hurting.
Sprained thumb and a dislocated finger.
Can you imagine going up there trying to hold a bat with a finger that's been placed back in that just was dislocated in the jammed thumb, and they're trying to hold the bat? That's got to be awful tough.
Arsenio Polanco fouls this one back. Just out of the reach of the outstretched arms of Jeff Torborg. 1-1. The 1-1 to Polanco. Strike 2 call. 1-2. Polanco with a base hit last night. He has at least 1 hit in 8 of his last 9 starts. Strike 3 call. Second strikeout for Park. Well, Jeff, tonight's game is part of the FX Saturday Night Bash. Tonight at 11, catch the FX Original Series Fast Food Films, followed by Pamela Anderson in Raw Justice. That's all tonight as the FX Saturday Night Bash continues. 2 down, pitcher against pitcher, as Kent Bottenfield steps in. Bottenfield has 3 hits this year. 3 singles, 3 for 17. Takes the first pitch for strike 1. Fouled off, 0-2.
Watching Chan-Ho Park work, he has got the classic drop and drive delivery, but he's very, very much balanced and in proper tempo. He never gets ahead of himself. That's why he can locate out of this delivery.
Easier second inning than first for Park. He loaded the bases in the first inning. A 1-2-3 second. Well, Jeff, there's number 10, Tony La Russa. You wore number 10 with the California Angels. You know where you were 26 years ago tonight?
Oh, I sure do. Kansas City, Nolan Ryan, first no-hitter.
Number 10 behind the plate. And Jeff Torborg will celebrate 26 years ago tonight, May 15th, 1973.
I still get goosebumps watching that.
Let's see, you'll try to jump up here.
I'll tell you what, when Amos Otis hit that pitch with 2 strikes, I thought he had hit it off the wall. Ken Berry was in right field and caught it. Oh, that was a thrill. Still get it thinking about it.
Leading off the Dodgers third, pitcher Chan-Ho Park, 2 for 16 on the season. He's in on the grass at third. Jeff, you, of course, caught 3 no-hitters. Sandy Koufax, 1965. Bill Singer, 1970. And then 26 years ago tonight, Nolan Ryan, 1973. And 7 months later, December 6th, 73, you were traded by the Angels to the St. Louis Cardinals.
It didn't last long here. But Nolan Ryan, what a year he had. That 1973. And here's a strikeout. And boy, 73 was a strikeout year for Nolan. He struck out 383 batters to set the all-time single season strikeout record. He broke Sandy Koufax's record that Sandy set in 1965 at 382. And I was very fortunate to be part of both of them. Just not that it had much to do with it. I just happened to be in the right place. But you talk about two great talents. But Nolan Ryan pitched 2 no-hitters that season. Should have had a third, if you can believe that. He won 21 games.
And here's a fellow from your alma mater, Rutgers University, Eric Young, who flied to right to start the game. He not only played baseball at Rutgers, but football as well.
Real proud of him.
Strike called, 1-1. Young started as a Dodger, then became a Rocky. Now his 3rd season back in L.A. Bounce to short. Polanco on the short hop. 2 out.
You know, the Polanco, the major league infielders, and especially shortstop, make this play look easy. This is not an easy play. First of all, it's a big hopper. He takes it a short hop, and he's got a guy who can run. So he's on the run. He's making the throw, and he makes it look easy. Eric Young, by the way, is second baseman of the Dodgers, started out as an outfielder with the Dodgers. It was the Dodger organization that converted him to a second baseman.
Strike 1 to Adrian Beltre, who flied to right his first time up. Beltre signed at the age of 16 just 5 years ago. Made the jump from Double-A last year. Played 77 games with the Dodgers. Hard grounder backhanded by Tatis, throws all the way across to retire Beltre. 1-2-3 inning for Ted Bottenfield. 2.5 complete from St. Louis. We remain scoreless. This is brought to you by 10-10-220. Dial it and talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents. Beautiful night here in St. Louis, and rain this afternoon as we move to the bottom of the 3rd. Here's how the top of the 3rd came to an end.
Very nice play. Not only catching the ball, but look at the rifle. Throw it across the infield with that much on it.
Top of the order, Darren Bragg takes strike 1. Bragg, McEwing, and McGuire. Here in the 3rd against Chandho Park. Bragg was nicked by a pitch his first time up. 0-2.
You just know that with his banged up hands, right thumb is jammed. Left ring finger was dislocated, and they just put it back in. How tough it is to hit. You know, the great hitters all had great, strong hands. And if you have something wrong with a hand, bum finger or something, it's very difficult to get that bat started.
High and tight, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You can see sponge on his left thumb. A lot of hitters will use that to keep from getting jammed. Somebody throws real hard and they get it in close to you, it'll really cause a bone bruise in between your thumb and index finger.
And this one gets through into left field. Second hit of the game for the Cardinals.
Now, what we were just talking about difficult getting the bat going, sometimes it helps hitters from over swinging because they can. Now here comes Park to the plate with his drop and drive delivery or something on it, and it's out over the plate, and you see Darren Bragg didn't try to do too much with it. He just flipped it to left field. Here he is again. See him stay back and keep his head down and just flip that ball into left field. Nice piece of hitting, but not a big hard swing.
So Bragg on for the second time tonight. With Joe McEwing at the plate. McEwing singled to right field in the first inning. McEwing batting in the number 2 slot for the first time this year. He led off 1 game and batted 8th in his other 29. So Both managers moving infielders up to the number 2 slot over the last couple of days. Adrian Beltre for the Dodgers at the bottom of the order. To the top, and McEwing by Tony La Russa.
And one of the reasons he's there, and you just saw him staring down at Rene Lachemann to see if anything's on, is because he can handle a bat. Tony La Russa can use him for hitting runs, and that's exactly what that was.
Right back to the box. Eric Young. Young and Grudzielanek both converged on the bag, and they get Bragg on the force out.
Well, I'll tell you what, this was a bang-bang play at second base because Darren Bragg was running. This was a hit and run. This was a very difficult pitch for Joe McEwing to get his bat on. He just put it in play. That's what you're asked to do. Tony La Russa's going out to ask what happened on that play at second base. Angel Hernandez is the umpire. Now here's the throw. There goes Bragg in. It's a good call. Eric Young stayed on the base. Watch him slide, and the throw's off a little, but he stays there, and it looked like his foot stayed right on the corner of the base before he was pulled off. Obviously, Tony didn't see it that way. In fact, after I looked at 2 other versions of what we had, it didn't look like he maybe stayed on long enough. But the first replay that we showed, it looked like Eric Young was able to grab the ball, make contact with the ball as his right foot was still on the base.
1 out, 1 on. McGuire fly to center in the first inning. I'm not happy about that pitch.
Talked about the power that Chan-Ho Park can generate with his legs. That ball he just threw there was a high-riding heater, boy. He threw that hard. 2-0. And that was a hanging curveball. When you hear about the old hanger, that's a hanger. That was that thing that was just kind of rolling in there, but it was too much of a hanger. The hanger that gets hit out of the ballpark is the one that starts high but gets about bell high, and that's when the big hitter tattoos it.
Deep right field, down the line, off the wall. Here comes McEwing. He will score. The Dodgers have fallen behind 1-0 on the RBI double off the bat of Mark McGwire. His 6th 2-base hit of the year.
You know, when Mark hit this ball, he stopped at first base. He didn't. I don't know whether he thought it was foul or what happened because we can't see in the corner from here. But Davey Johnson is out going out to argue about the call too. But a lot of times you look at the body language on a runner, the one who hit it, the batter runner, to see where the ball was. And Mark McGwire hesitated on that.
So McGwire doubles into the right field corner to drive in the game's first run.
Now we'll watch Mark hit the ball. The ball's out away from him. It's a right down the right field line. When he first hits it, he doesn't think it's going to be. Then he realizes, hey, I better get going because this thing might be tailing back. But he gets to first base and he stops. Look at how he stops. He just is stopping there. And he said, oh, I better get going. The umpire called it fair.
So both managers have been out for quick chats with the umpiring crew in this half inning. Cardinals have taken a 1-0 lead. Ray Lankford struck out his first time up. Takes ball 1. Now 2-0 on Lankford. The Astros have taken a 4-0 lead in the third inning over the Giants. San Francisco with a half-game lead over the Dodgers. Should the Dodgers win tonight and the Giants lose, the Dodgers will take over first place. Park now behind 3-0 to Ray Lankford. Now the
watching Chan Ho Park. He has 2 big strikeouts in the second inning when he was out of a full windup. Out of the stretch position, he's a drop-in driver. He rushes just a little bit. He starts to head to the plate real quick. And what happens is you start to lose your command a little. Great shot from here. You can look at Chan Ho Park. Watch his back leg, his right leg. When he goes to the plate, he bends it dramatically, and he springs off it and fires the ball. That's why he can throw so hard. Watch him bend that back leg.
Park pitches on the inside corner, ball 4. Second walk issued by Park. And the Cardinals have 2 on. Well, next week, FX brings you Major League action once again as the Yankees beat the White Sox. Yankees have lost 5 in a row. It's all part of next week's Saturday Night Bash, starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on FX. Yankees swept at home by the Angels, and they've lost 2 in a row at home to the White Sox, 12-4 this afternoon.
He's got to be really feeling it at this point.
Fernando Tatis takes a strike. He walked in the first.
This game can be so humbling, individually and collectively. That Yankee ball club is still a tremendous ball club. They're just going through a slump time, and they're running into some hot pitching.
Talk about running into hot pitching. The Cardinals in their last 2 games prior to tonight. As we check out Tatis's numbers, Cardinals have faced Kurt Schilling and Kevin Brown in their last 2 games.
That's right. Well, when you take a look at some of the thunder that they have in the lineup now, with this young man Tatis coming around, already the same number of home runs he had in the entire year last year, he's really going to be a special player. And with Langford back in the lineup, Cardinal lineup looks better already. Tony La Russa told us in the first 2 weeks of the season, he was concerned that his lineup didn't look the way he wanted it without Langford. And one big bat in the lineup can make a difference. And the Dodgers feel the same way. I mean, Tatis's counterpart at third base, Beltre, has made a major difference in their lineup.
One-two from Park. Tatis swings and misses, strike 3. 4th strikeout for Chan Ho Park.
Boy, this is a hard breaking curveball. Here he comes back, and he comes right on the top. Look at the bottom fall out of this. That is awful tough. You're guarding against a high fastball at 95, and then they throw a curveball with the bottom falls out of it. That's tough.
So with 2 away, here's Eric Davis, who grounds it out with the bases loaded in the first. Now comes to the plate with 2 on. McGuire, the runner on second. Langford down at first. Line drive caught by the second baseman, Eric Young, to end the 3rd inning. The Cardinals score 1, and they strand 2. They lead the Dodgers 1-0. Back to Busch Stadium, home of the 9-time world champions, St. Louis Cardinals, who lead the Dodgers 1-0. Dodgers won last night's game 7-3. They scored all 7 runs with 2 outs in the 7th inning.
Ooh, that was a crazy inning. The walk the pitcher, too. Jose Jimenez, the young right-hander for the Cardinals, was sailing along, and then he walked Kevin Brown on 4 pitches, and then a perfectly placed little chopper by Eric Young got a big inning going, which is the way this game can be at times.
Gary Sheffield leading off the Dodgers 4th. And then a play that Sean Dunston would like to forget when he threw to third, but the problem was nobody was covering. Sheffield struck out in the first inning. 2-0.
Kenny, you look at Gary Sheffield. He is so dangerous. When he puts his game together, he has this crazy looking stance. When he first started, he stood straight upright and his feet were close together with Milwaukee. But now he's spread out with his feet. But look at his hands up here wiggling, getting ready to hit. He is really aggressive.
Well hit left field. Langford on the run. Off the wall. Sheffield heading into second with a stand-up double. 6th 2-base hit of the season for Sheffield, and his 3rd hit the last 2 nights.
when this guy is healthy, he is just incredibly quick through the strike zone. Watch how fast he gets the head of the bat through on this fastball. And this is a line drive bullet over Langford's head. That got there in a hurry. Gary Sheffield, because of that windup he does over his head, has to be extremely strong to do that. And when he's had hand problems in the past, it really hurt his hitting ability. But he's healthy and he's swinging the bat.
As is Raul Mondesi, who singled leading off the second, but then was thrown out trying to stretch it into a double. Strike one on Mondesi.
Davey Johnson told us that Raul Mondesi has really been influenced by Gary Sheffield. Well, Sheffield is a real good thinking hitter, not just physically that strong, a good thinking hitter, and he's gotten into the head of Raul Mondesi about what to think about when you're at the plate, because Mondesi had a tendency throughout his early part of his career, the minute there were people in scoring position, he swung at anything thrown. Baseball people call it a Bible hitter, thou shalt not pass. They'll swing at anything thrown up there, and it takes a while from some people to mature, and Davey Johnson was telling us that before the game, that he thinks that Sheffield is helping him a lot. And Rick Down, I guarantee the hitting coaches talked a long time about the mental side of hitting.
Davey gave Mondesi the green light opening day with a 3-0 count. He homered. In fact, he homered twice in that game against Arizona. 3 times this year he's homered twice in one game.
Well, this guy is so strong. He prefers the fastball, and when you say he's a good mistake hitter, a lot of guys will miss mistakes. He doesn't seem to miss a mistake in the middle of the plate. Pulls the ball for his power, tends to chase low breaking stuff. Gets anxious, especially when he's behind in the count. He's up in the count now, though.
The 2-1 looped into shallow left, and it falls in between Polanco and Langford. Second hit of the game for Mondesi, and the Dodgers have runners on the corners with nobody out.
Well, that's pure strength right there. He broke his bat on this ball. Watch where the pitch is. The ball was down on the bat. You'll notice it was down toward the label, and the bat broke. But this man is really strong. He weighs 220 pounds. He just forced that ball over the infield. If he were not that strong, that's a pop up to shortstop.
So Mondesi with 2 hits tonight, as Todd Hundley steps in. Hundley singled in the second. Now back 0-1. Bottenfield puts the 1-2-3 first, the 1-2-3 third. But in the even-numbered innings, he'll have 3 hits in the second and now 2 here in the fourth.
I was just watching Todd Hundley. You watch body language, and he's talking to himself, too. He just swung at a bad pitch. Now, with this situation, with none out, he's in a situation he wants to find a pitch he can drive, and he swung at a ball that was not his pitch in his hands. The good hitters make an adjustment. They, in their mind, clear the mind, say, now, here's where I'm looking for the ball. If I can get it, I'll tattoo it.
Fouls another one back, going 2.
Well, 2 bad balls are swung down. Now you're in a situation, runners at first and third, and you say, well, Mondesi can steal a base. Would he try to run here? A lot of managers will not run a runner from first base with a left-handed hitter at the plate when the runner's being held on, because there's a big hole over there, and you don't want to take the hole away. You got a left-handed pull hitter, that gives him a chance to put that ball in that hole. But the Cardinals obviously are concerned that Mondesi might be running, so they're throwing over a lot. Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan, the outstanding pitching coach of the Cardinals, have for years been outstanding at having their pitchers keep runners close with all sorts of step-off moves, pitch-outs, side steps.
The throw from Marrero goes into left field following the strikeout. Coming in to score is Sheffield, and the Dodgers have tied it at 1.
Well, this was being aggressive, Marrero being aggressive, but it's always a concern when you throw to third base. I was always taught to think about percentages. If you throw at third and it's messed up, the run scores. If you're going to throw at third, you got to throw it over the third base bag. Now here you'll see it. It's a bad pitch. Todd Hundley swings at a bad pitch, but see where the throw is? What happens with a catcher sometimes, he sees the third baseman coming over to cover and he tries to lead him, but he's afraid of leading him too much. If you're going to throw to third base, throw the ball right to the base.
Sheffield trots home. First error of the season committed by Marrero. Now one out, Mondesi on second. Karros called out on strikes. His first time up.
The Dodger team right now, we were talking to Davey Johnson before the game about their being selective and looking for pitches. Well, both Todd Hundley and Eric Karros just went for 4 pitches that they really are not the kind of pitches they really want. They weren't good pitches to hit.
Strike 2 call.
You know that play where you have a catcher throwing down and with a left-handed hitter, it's an easy way of looking toward third base. You come right down the line, but there also is another thought a catcher thinks about. Runners are taught to go back into third base, back in fair ground. You're also afraid of hitting them.
1 and 2 on Karros. You ever hit anybody?
Yeah, unfortunately, you make a perfect throw, you think, but the guy dives back at the last minute, gets right in line with the throw, and it bounces off him. But you have a much better shot at throwing the ball over the base. Don't try to lead the fielder coming to cover. It's tough to do.
Bounce foul off the plate, so the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Toughest throw to third base for a catcher is with a right-handed hitter in the box because you have to clear the hitter. I've also tried to make a throw behind. For an example, if Mondesi were to go now and you try to go behind Karros, I've tried to throw down and I've hit the batter's back, and that is not a good feeling.
For you or the batter. One out, top of the 4th. Tied at 1.
One of the great shots we have here from center field camera behind the pitcher, it really shows you when you've got a good umpire at the plate how consistent they are.
Two from Bottenfield. Full count on Karros.
And that was a reinforce what I was just saying. That ball was inside. Randy Marsh not jumping around. There was a pitch just off the outside part, the pitch before that, and he didn't move and he didn't get anxious. He's very consistent.
Down the right field line.
This is when the game slows down. When you're in a situation like this, the pitcher's taking his time. Of course, now he's cleaning the dirt out of his spikes. But a pitcher wants to make sure he makes a good pitch in a situation like this with a runner in scoring position. The game at this time slows down and becomes much more of a head game.
Bounce to the right side. McGuire will take it himself for the second out as Mondesi moves over to third. Next week on Baseball Thursday, baseball's fiercest rivalry resumes. Yankees battle the Red Sox. Some of you will see the Astros and these Dodgers. Check local listings for the game and time in your area on Fox Sports Net. Baseball Thursday, the Yankees and the Red Sox camp tied atop the American League East. Yankees have lost 5 in a row. Red Sox have won 8 of their last 11, and they are now tied.
That's amazing. And Roger Clemens, there's a possibility he will pitch back at Fenway.
It was originally thought that he might make his return this afternoon, but he did not. Ramiro Mendoza started for the Yankees. Todd Hollandsworth singled back in the second inning. And he takes strike one, says third base umpire Larry Vanover. Runner on third, 2 outs, 1 run in on 2 hits and 1 Cardinals error. Imagine if Clemens comes back at Fenway. First time as a Yankee in Boston.
By the way, they hit the Yankee pinstripes and the Yankee colors up there, that would be tough. But who rises to the occasion any more than Roger does?
The former Red Sox manager Don Zimmer running the show. The interim manager Joe Torre expected to return within 2 weeks. Yankees were sailing along at 20-10, but they lost 5 in a row, all at home. They were shut out back-to-back games by the Angels. And now they've lost 2 to the White Sox.
Such a surprise when you look at that the White Sox pitching staff. They're leading the American League in earned run average.
And it's the first time the Yankees are not alone in first place since the first week of last season, when they lost their first 3 games before winning 114.
Injuries play such a part in baseball. You know, we're talking about the Cardinals not having length and also losing 2 of their top starting pitchers. Well, look at the Yankees. When Knobloch went down with that injury, the Yankees struggled a little bit.
Bounce foul, so the count remains 1 ball, 2 strikes on Hollandsworth.
One thing as a manager you really hope for, you hope for a season where you can avoid major injuries to key personnel. And there are an awful lot of outstanding big-name players on the disabled list. You see the grip on the ball. Bottenfield and most pitchers do move the ball around once they get it up into the glove. Bottenfield is the type of pitcher that uses a 2-seam fastball and makes it sink. That means he puts his fingers along the seams. That's what he's doing with the ball behind his back. He's feeling for the seams. Pitchers feel for the seams and which one feels the best. See him roll the ball around. Now he's got a cross-seamer grip. That's a straight fastball unless he changes it.
Talk about injuries. Cardinals have 3 starting pitchers on the DL. Matt Morris out for the season. Alan Bennis, Donovan Osborne on the disabled list for the 7th time in 7 years.
That's tough. You lose starting pitching, and of course when you have some problems too, if you have your starters get messed up, it usually affects your bullpen because then roles get all messed up. It's a long season. This baseball season is a long season. Travel is incredible. The Dodgers are coming in here only 1 time this year, a West Coast team.
In fact, they will host the Cardinals next weekend, 3 games in Los Angeles, and that will be it. These teams will not play again this season. They already played 1 series in LA, this one here in St. Louis, next weekend in Los Angeles, and that will be all.
That's amazing. You know, the West Coast teams, if you look at the mileage, travel more than the clubs that are in the middle of the country. And, boy, travel can be terrible. We were talking about the Toronto trip that they took earlier this year. Just hurt them badly.
First walk issued by Bottenfield. Hollandsworth heads down to first. And the Dodgers have runners on first and third with 2 outs. As Bottenfield will face Mark Kruzelanek, who struck out in the 2nd inning. Mondesi, the runner on third. Hollandsworth down at first. Hollandsworth goes, and the pitch is fouled off down the right field line, 0-1.
Oh, with 2 outs, a lot of people say that was a hit and run. Well, when you got a 2-out situation like that, that's more of a run and hit. That the runner from first is going. Rick Dempsey had gotten him going. Davey Johnson, very aggressive manager, and they're watching the pitcher, and sometimes they think maybe the pitcher's falling asleep and is not going to throw to first. So they had Todd Hollandsworth running. And the fact that the pitch was driven to right field might have looked like it was a hit and run, but it's just kind of a protective type of thing. If the ball's in there, the hit will go for it.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And also, when you put a runner in motion sometimes as a manager, say you have a hitter who's struggling just a little bit, pulling off the ball, and you put a hit and run on, sometimes it really helps that hitter because he's focusing, trying to help his team to stay on the ball and put it in play, and invariably it works.
Bottenfield fakes to third, fakes to first.
A lot of people get upset when they see this move. They say it never works, but I've seen it work. And I think in this situation, when you see the pitch count is getting up there for Ken Bottenfield, we're only in the 4th inning. So you try anything to get out of the inning. But the 2 best I ever saw at that 1st and 3rd pickoff play were Steve Busby and Jack McDowell. And it does work if you sell it. If you sell it like you're going to third base, it'll work.
Two and one on Grudzielanek. Line drive, base hit it to right field. Mondesi crosses the plate with the Dodgers' 2nd run of the inning, and they now lead 2-1. RBI number 9 for Grudzielanek.
I was about to say when we were talking about the pitch count that as you watch a pitcher get some trouble. Now this is a terrible pitch right here. It's nowhere near where they want it. They want it down, and you can see it's up over the plate. What happens when a pitcher has a long inning like this, and he gets high in the pitch count? He loses his command. He's getting tired. He's winded out there, and now he can't locate.
Now facing the Dodgers starter, Chan-Ho Park, who struck out in the 3rd. Two on, 2 out. 2 runs in this inning. 3 base hits and 1 Cardinals error. 1 ball, 1 strike on Park. One and two. And Park strikes out for the 2nd consecutive inning, but the Dodgers score 2 and now lead Bottenfield and the Cards 2-1. Kenny Albert, Jeff Torborg back in St. Louis, where the Dodgers lead the Cardinals 2-1, bottom of the 4th inning. This great rivalry, which we talked about earlier. And this was back in 1985. Who could forget the NLCS Ozzie Smith going deep off Tom Edenfuhr in Game 5. That gave the Cardinals a 3-2 series lead. And then with Edenfuhr on the mound once again in Game 6, Jack Clark wins the series for the Cardinals. And there is Ozzie Smith in the Cardinals broadcast booth tonight.
Pretty fair shortstop of the day. I didn't get over the National League to see him until he was well along. He was in his mid to late 30s, and he was unbelievable. But you talk about big series. Look how these 2 organizations have been tremendous organizations, but they're within 2 games after all the games that they have played. In the 90s, could you get any closer than that? When I was playing with the Dodgers in the 60s, the Dodgers won the pennant, went to the World Series 63, 5, and 6, and when we didn't go, 64, 7, and 8, the Cardinals did.
Bottom 3rd of the order for the 1999 St. Louis Cardinals. He trailed 2-1. Eli Marrero, Placido Polanco, and Kent Bottenfield. 1-1 count on Marrero. He flies to left in the 2nd inning. Four-game hitting streak for Marrero. He's homered in 2 of his last 3 games. Also went deep off Chan-Ho Park in that April 23rd game. in which Tatis hit 2 grand slams.
You know, he threw this ball in the left field, and when a player does that, he tries like the Dickens to make up for it with his team, and sometimes they do that. That was a high-riding fastball that he just, no chance, there's no way he's ever going to even foul that pitch. We're talking about in the scouting report a cross-seam fastball. That's the one that really looks like it's going to run up in the zone. That's because you just were able to drive it. Park has got a nice delivery and a good, hard fastball.
5 strikeouts for Park. Placido Polanco was caught looking his first time up. Off-speed pitch called strike 1. And we're talking about grand slams, Jeff. Ozzie Smith, who we just saw, is the player with the most career at-bats in baseball history who never hit a grand slam. 9,396 at-bats for Ozzie. No career grand slam home runs.
Well, I don't think that's going to keep him from going to the Hall of Fame, but you're right. Interesting stats. I guess the active player with the most at-bats without a grand slam is Mark Grace, is it not?
And the active player with the most grand slams is Harold Baines with 13. Mo Vaughn hit his 8th career grand slam last night for the Angels. There have been 33 this year in the majors, 20 in the American League, 13 here in the National, including 4 by the Cardinals. But Tatis was the first to ever hit 2 in 1 inning. He drove in a major league record 8 runs in that inning. 11 players in baseball history had 6 RBIs in 1 inning. And Tatis became the first with more than 6. You were a coach with the Yankees when Don Mattingly hit 6 in 1 season,
yes.
1987.
You know, it's interesting about that. At that time, Don Mattingly used to get very anxious. As good a hitter as he was, when the bases were loaded, before that year, he'd get so anxious he'd go after pitches he didn't want, and he counted in his own head that he had to be selective, which is obviously what he was that year.
Polanco goes down on strikes for the second time. 6th strikeout for Chan-Ho Park. Busch Stadium in St. Louis sold out tonight. Over 48,000. Largest crowd of the season for the St. Louis Cardinals. Kenny Albert with Jeff Torborg, who 26 years ago tonight was behind the plate for a Nolan Ryan no-hitter. Dodgers leading the Cardinals 2-1. Dodgers 2 runs on 6 hits. Cardinals 1 run, 3 hits, and 1 error. Kent Bottenfield struck out in the second, and he takes strike 1.
Hey, you're talking about all the grand slams at Major League level. How about the kid at Florida State, Marshall McDougal, a second baseman? How many home runs did he have in that game?
6.
How many RBI?
16. He was 7 for 7 in a 26-2 win over Maryland.
Oh, my.
He was drafted by the Yankees a couple of years ago. They did not sign him. 6 home runs in 1 game.
Of course, the Yankees bullpen coach, Tony Cloninger, I think he's the only pitcher to ever hit 2 grand slams in 1 game.
Omar Garcia-Parra hit 2 in a game last week. Not in the same inning. Park strikes out the side in the 4th. He now has 7 Ks as the Dodgers lead 2-1. Earlier asked him about being compared to former Dodger leadoff men Maury Wills and Davey Lopes.
For me to be mentioned with those guys, we have to win a championship. And then I can say, okay, maybe I belong with those great leadoff guys that they had because those guys won championships. But until I do that, I can't put myself in that group. But it's just flattering right now to be even mentioned. And hopefully I'll be able to fulfill and win a championship here in L.A.
Well, we talked about what he brings to the Dodgers. The speed at the top of the order and aggressiveness. when you have that threat at the top of the order who can get on base, who can work pitchers deep into the count so the hitters behind him can see what kind of pitchers they have. But the ability to get on base and disrupt the pitcher and catcher and the defense because of your speed does so much.
Strike one call, 2-1 on Young, who is tied for the major league lead in stolen bases with Tony Womack of the Diamondbacks, 18 apiece. Young missed 4 games recently with a calf injury. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Leading off the Dodgers' 5th, Young, Beltre, and Sheffield. 3 balls, 1 strike.
You know, being a former catcher and sitting behind the plate, you always want to get that leadoff hitter because that puts pressure on you as a catcher. You know that you've got to keep that runner close. You try to get that leadoff hitter so importantly.
Well, they don't get him right here as Bottenfield issues his second walk. He has struck out 6 Dodgers in the game tonight.
You know, most of these are just challenged fastballs. Now that one wasn't. That was in the dirt and it was a check swing. But there's one right on the outside part of the plate to Park. And that was a good breaking ball. Todd Hundley just came out of his game a little bit. But Bottenfield is not blowing the ball up in the mid-90s. But he's locating pretty well. The problem he had in the last, and he did a good job getting out of it, by the way. He got deep in the count so much and threw so many pitches that it looked like he got a little tired and his location was off. Now, we're looking at a situation right now where we were talking about the ability there again to steal a base, but he's got a tight calf. And unless he's feeling real good, he might not go. But if he gets a good read on Bottenfield, he just might.
Beltre fouls it back to the screen. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Fly out and a ground out. Young 18 for 25 on the base path. And 2 of his teammates have also had great success.
That team speed is so important. It's one of the things that doesn't slump. Leadoff hitter gets on. Now watch Maury Wills change the game, change the velocity of the game. That leadoff hitter gets on and it worries the pitcher and catcher. There are many, many more fastballs thrown.
Fouled off, 0-2.
As a catcher, you know, you don't want to be embarrassed if somebody steals a base and you know that the game is on the line and you want to make sure that you have a chance of throwing somebody out. You have to fight yourself not to call fastballs.
Bottenfield sidearms one to first. 0-2 on Beltre. Nobody out. Top of the 5th inning from St. Louis. Dodgers leading 2-1. They scored both of their runs in the 4th. Fly ball deep center field. Bragg on the run. Makes the catch at the edge of the warning track. One away. Well, with 1 out in the 5th, we spoke with Eric Young earlier about stealing against Bottenfield.
Well, first of all, you want to know is Bottenfield has 2 particular moves, one fast one, one slow one. And he's pretty sharp as far as coming over to first base, real snap throw, quick when he comes to first base. But I'm going to get my normal lead, and then when I see that particular big lift that he has with the big kick in his legs, then that's when I'm going to take off.
There's Sheffield takes strike 1. Sheffield struck out in the 1st, doubled and scored in the 4th.
Well, he just told us exactly what most ball clubs do. They'll take times of the pitcher from the first move he makes out of the stretch to the time it gets to the catcher, so you know how quickly he can deliver the ball. Then you study his front leg. If he lifts his left leg up, he's going to be slower to the plate. If he just slides it along the ground, he's going to be quicker.
Foul ball back behind first base. McGuire gives chase. 0-2.
On that last pitch with Bottenfield, we'll show you what he did. He barely lifts his leg. He goes up with a little bit and then quickly to the plate. It's a semi-slide step. It's not right along the ground, but you can see he doesn't raise it high. that really cuts down the amount of time it takes to get the ball to the plate. And that is what Eric Young was talking about. That's the quicker move he has. If he gets into a situation now, he's ahead in the count, so he can be quick and he can mess around a little bit, where he has to get the ball over the plate, he might lift his leg higher and take longer.
0-2 to Sheffield. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes.
There's also another thing that a base runner will do a lot of times, and if he can guess, anticipate what the pitch might be, especially if it's a split finger in the dirt or a breaking down, breaking ball, he might go for fear, you know, with a thought in mind that the catcher will have to either block the ball or it will take him longer to catch the ball.
There goes Young. Sheffield pops it up. Foul territory. Not enough room for Marrero or McGuire. It bounces into the Cardinals dugout.
Well, we were wondering if Eric would run because of the tenderness in his calf, and obviously he will, and he broke. He was all the way to second base, and he had to turn around and scamper back. And you can see, oh, he's got a good jump. He's got 3 steps before the ball is delivered. He had a good read. Now you can see he has to get back in a hurry, so I guess that leg's feeling better.
Young on the move once again. No throw from Marrero. And Young steals number 19.
Well, if you take a look at a good base stealer, the right foot, the foot closest to second base, will be open a little bit, and his foot is open. And watch his jump. He slides his left foot. That's a little trick. That was just a timing device, and that he had 4 steps before the ball was delivered. And the catcher Marrero had no chance to throw him out.
2-2 on Sheffield, lifted into left center. On the run is Bragg, and he cannot get to it. It rolls to the wall. Here comes Young. And the Dodgers lead is now 3-1. Second consecutive double for Gary Sheffield as he drives in his 23rd run of the season.
Now, Kenny, what we talked about is that dimension of stealing a base can foul things up. Now, this is a pretty good pitch, though. This was a low breaking ball. And Gary Sheffield, we talked about his immense strength, hand strength. He just goes down and flips a good breaking ball into the left center field alley. But that base running ability to get on, as they intentionally are going to walk Mondesi here, that ability to get on can really disrupt the pitcher and the catcher.
Lance Painter up in the Cardinals pen.
Ooh. Boy, there's an embarrassment. I had that one time, an intentional walk. The pitcher threw the ball way over my head. And that's not supposed to happen. I mean, that's one of those free pass jobs there, and that ball was almost thrown away by Bottenfield.
So Mondesi heads down to first. 3rd time he has been intentionally walked this season.
Watch this. You're expecting a nice, easy pitch way away. Look where this ball goes. Whoa. That gets the blood going. Heart pounding.
Now 1st and 2nd for Todd Hundley. Only 1 for 2 tonight. Dodgers leading 3-1. And Hundley takes ball 1.
If you remember, we were talking about Todd in his last at bat. He struck out on 3 bad balls. He fouled one off, was in on his hands. He is a very aggressive hitter from the left side of the plate.
Game hitting straight for Hundley. Sheffield the runner on second. Mondesi on at first. Bottenfield missing on the inside corner. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Talk about different types of stances, as you can see again from our center field shot. Todd has his front foot open, a lot like a base stealer would. Just a little bit. He comes back to the plate a little, but his hips are open. That's why he's able to pull the ball get the head of the bat through.
Towering fly ball, center field. Bragg is under it. 2 out.
I think Ken Bottenfield just got away with 2 pitches to Todd Hundley that he was glad that Hundley's timing was off and just missed him. 100 pitches at this point. He's not out of the 5th inning yet. That is a lot of pitches. He wants to throw that helmet. He wants to pound it down there. He knows he just missed 2 pitches that he would like to have back.
Karros 0 for 2. Takes ball 1. 2 on, 2 out. Dodgers with 1 run in this inning to extend their lead. Senior-most Dodger, joined the club in 1991 out of UCLA, where he hit .365.
There's a very quiet leader on the team. He made himself into a good defensive first base. He always had power and strength.
1-1. He pops it up. McEwing makes the catch. But the Dodgers score 1 on 1 base hit and a strand 2. 4.5 complete. 3-1 LA. Back in St. Louis as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning. Dodgers starter Chan Ho Park struck out the side in the 4th. He struck out 4 of the last 5. Dodgers 7 in all.
Well, you can see a variety of pitches. Those first 2 were curveballs, and that was a fastball. He can come. There's another curveball. Awful tough to try to lay off that high fastball and then try to hit that downer curveball. Most of his strikeouts on that downer curveball, but he sets him up with a fastball. Obviously, you can't compare pitchers. He's right-handed. Sandy Koufax is left-handed, but Sandy's great career was with the same 2 type pitches.
Darren Bragg leading off the Cardinals' 5th. Bragg has reached base twice tonight, hit by a pitch in the 1st, singled in the 3rd. Ground ball to the first baseman. Karros takes it himself. 1 away.
You know, when I was talking about types of pitchers, Sandy Koufax had the greatest curveball I ever saw. I always had the feeling if the mound were higher, the balls go back to him. He got right on top of it. It dropped about 2 feet. And he had that high riding fastball with a very smooth delivery. Chan Ho Park has that nice drop and drive, and when his tempo is nice and slow, it makes his stuff look even better. Nolan Ryan, of course, the same type of pitcher. Drop and drive, good curveball, good fastball. Later on, a good changeup. Remember, Park is still young. He's only 25 years of age. He does not have a lot of pitches on his arm like a lot of the pitchers that have come out of the Pacific Rim would come after they've been free agents in Japan, for example. Those guys throw a lot of pitches in games over there. They don't have the same fastballs possibly by the time they get here late in their career. This kid is in the, you know, he really hasn't reached his peak yet.
1-1 on McEwing. Now 2-1. This is Park's 4th full season with the Dodgers. And he's only 25, the Korean flag. Some Chan Ho Park fans in the stands here in St. Louis. He led the Dodgers last year with 15 wins as McEwing hits this one foul down the right field line. Team high 15 wins last year for Chan Ho Park. And 2 seasons ago, he was tied with Hideo Nomo for the team lead with 14. He started to play baseball, Jeff, in the 4th grade. He was envious of his fellow 4th graders who played baseball. They were given extra chocolate and snacks because they played baseball.
They got a lot of chocolates they get now when they play baseball. But, you know, Joe Moeller is a former roommate and teammate of mine with the Dodgers, a pitcher.
Shot grounder to the shortstop, Gridzelanic. 2 away. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
I was talking about Joe Moeller. He was a pitching coach for the Korean national team for a while, and he was telling me about some of the great young arms he saw there. A lot of the young pitchers didn't have real good changeups, which Joe worked on them with, but he says real good techniques. Now look at this shift they have from McGuire. Now we've seen all sorts of shifts. We saw 4 outfielders with the Astros, but now you got this shift with the second baseman Eric Young over on the left side of second base.
Did you hear what Craig Biggio said after that game? He was the second baseman playing in shallow left. He said, if McGuire flies out to me, how do you score it?
Good point.
Is it a pop out to the second baseman? 2-1.
Then we talk about McGuire's ability as a hitter. He's struggled a little bit this season, but you know everybody expects him to hit so much. But take a look at where he's so tough. All over the strike zone except just way out away from him. And those areas out there are only when he's trying to juice the ball out of the ballpark. And there's where Park tried to pitch him. Years ago when Mark was a young hitter with Oakland, he was a much better low ball hitter than high ball hitter. Now he's changed his stance a little. His hands are shorter. He's got a short swing for a big, strong guy.
Popped up foul, 3-2.
So what we used to try to do is pitch him hard up and almost just underneath his left elbow. And you see, where's that guard? Because a lot of people tried that and hit him there. But he would hang over that plate. And there's where number 62 went. But 71 up there.
McGuire strikes out. Strikeout number 8 for Park. Another 1-2-3 inning. He's retired 8 Cardinals consecutively. Welcome back to FX Baseball Saturday night from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. Cardinals have struggled here at home. They're 6-11 at home, 11-6 on the road.
It's surprising when you don't win at home in front of your home fans. And they have great fans here. Obviously tonight, a sellout. This is the biggest crowd they've had this year, of course. Dodgers always seem to be able to do that type of thing. They've had a great rivalry, these two clubs. And, of course, the Cubs also have that rivalry with the Cardinals. But
base hit into right field for Todd Hollinsworth. Hollinsworth on base for the 3rd time tonight. 2 hits and a walk.
What's so beautiful about this park? When it was first built, it had regular grass in it. Then they switched to artificial turf. Now they're back to the regular grass, and it just is such a beautiful place. This was opened in '66, and it looks brand new. You walk around this park, it looks brand new.
Here's Mark Grudzielanek. RBI single his last time up in the 4th inning.
How about some of those names, Kenny?
There's yours. There's mine. Number 14.
That's Kenny Boyer, boy. What a good player he was. Dizzy Dean. Dizzy Dean, boy, was he something. He was a character. You know, he later on became an announcer, and they heard him all over the plains out here, and they loved him. Hall of Fame pitcher. Great tradition here. Great fans. They come from all over.
World Championships. Speaking of announcers, Grudzielanek at the plate, the late Harry Carey a couple of years ago said, "What's Grudzielanek spelled backwards if it's not already?" Hollinsworth going, and the throw from Marrero is not in time. First steal of the year for Todd Hollinsworth. Marrero had thrown out 7 of 12 this season prior to tonight.
Well, he gets his ball off well, even though there was a hitter in his way. Hollinsworth just had a good jump.
So the Dodgers now 2 for 2 tonight. Young and now Hollingsworth.
Davey Johnson has been aggressive. He's always been an aggressive manager. He takes advantage, especially when he gets the lead. He tries to put some other things on. But this Dodger ball club has some speed.
The second in the league in stolen bases, trailing only the Astros. Here's the 1-2. Bounce to the shortstop. Polanco on the throw to third. And they get Hollingsworth.
That's a mental mistake. That is a play that you're taught from the time you're in Little League. The ball, when you're at second base and the ball's hit in front of you, and to be fielded by a shortstop, he's going to throw you out easily. You have to make the ball go over your left shoulder. And watch Hollingsworth. Now this ball goes in front of him. Look at this. He thinks he can beat it because it's a high chopper. But he's a dead duck by a long way. I think he felt that maybe he got caught out and too far off the base. And he would try to make it because it was that high chopper. That was not a good play.
So 1 out. Grudzielanek on at first base. The pitcher Park 0 for 2. He struck out twice. And he bunts one down the first base line. It rolls foul. Grudzielanek gets back towards first. Dodgers leading 3-1 as they look to win their third consecutive game. Dodgers 8-2 in their last 10 on the road. Bottenfield quickly to first.
Well, that throw to first was for a couple of reasons. Tony La Russa wanted to see if it looked like Grudzielanek might be running. He also wanted to see if Cano Park was turning around the bunt. And maybe with the aggressive tendencies that Davey Johnson has shown tonight, Tony wanted to make sure that he doesn't get caught in maybe a run and hit or a hit and run situation. Or maybe he saw the commercial that Cano Park made trying to get them. Yeah, see, that's that chop bunt swing where the pitcher fakes a bunt and swings at it. Casey Stengel, the Hall of Fame manager, called us the butcher boy.
On the scoreboard, Jeff, in the National League. Big win for the Pittsburgh Pirates as the Expos lose their 5th in a row. Cubs over Maddux and the Braves 5-1. Cincinnati over the San Diego Padres 6-2. And the Diamondbacks 9-2 over the Rockies. Tony Womack stole his 19th base of the year, so he and Eric Young remain tied. Young stole his 19th in the 5th inning, and he steps to the plate with 2 outs and a runner on first. Young 0 for 2, walked and scored his last time up. In that Arizona-Colorado game, Luis Gonzalez extended his hitting streak to 27 games.
And he had a big one earlier this week. He won a game with one with a home run that kept the streak alive. Always has been a good hitter. Looks like he's really enjoying himself out there. We did a game earlier this year in the Bob. That's quite a ballpark out there too. They've got some ball clubs. They're going to be fun to watch throughout this season.
Jay Bell tied for the National League and the Major League lead in home runs with Earl Mondesi with 13. Matt Williams has 12. And Luis Gonzalez with the 27-game hitting streak, 3 shy of the longest streaks this decade, including Eric Davis of the Cardinals. Now 3-0 on Eric Young. Eric Davis last year with the Orioles, coming back from cancer.
Unbelievable story this guy is. He's come back a couple different times. He had neck problems years ago. Looked like his career was over then. Then he had cancer. Really has a great attitude about it, life and the game. There was a guy hung with a label when he first came up, the next Willie Mays. That's awful tough to try to live up to. Same was said of Ken Griffey Jr., and he's trying to hold it up, boy. Before it's all over, he might be the one guy that has a shot at the career home run record.
No throw from Marrero, but one was not needed because it was ball 4. Second time Young has walked tonight. And the 4th walk issued by Bottenfield. So Bottenfield trying to work out of the 6th. 2 outs, runners on first and second. For Adrian Beltre, who's 0 for 3 tonight, flat out to the center field warning track in the 5th inning. There's Grudzielanek, the runner on second. Young down at first. Dodgers leading the Cardinals 3-1. Off-speed pitch misses for ball 1 to Beltre. Dodgers scored 2 in the 4th, 1 more in the 5th. They've also stranded 6 base runners.
As we mentioned earlier, 117 pitches, a lot of pitches. You can take a look at his hat, soaking wet. But this guy is a battler. I tell you, he's had some very tough innings tonight, and he's made his pitches. He stayed with it. Look at the bill of his cap. Look at it, he's soaking wet all through here.
Gary Sheffield waiting on deck. He's doubled twice, scored a run, drove in a run. Base hit it to left field for Beltre. Here's the throw from Langford. It's cut off. And he will catch Young in a rundown. The tag by McEwing. That ends the 6th. But the Dodgers score another run. And now lead the Cardinals 4-1. Of the 6th inning in St. Louis, Langford, Tatis, and Eric Davis for the Cardinals. And here's the play which ended the Dodgers' 6th. The single to left by Beltre, driving in Grudzielanek. And off the throw from Langford, the Cardinals caught Young in a rundown.
Well, the Dodgers were content to get the run home on the plate. That was done on purpose. Eric Young wanted to make them cut that ball off and not make the play to the plate. And it was very well done. Langford getting the ball to the cutoff man. It was done on both ends very well. But the Dodgers wanted that 4th run, and so they ran into that one.
Strike 1 called on Langford, who was 0 for 1. Struck out in the 1st, walked in the 3rd. Hit into right field for Langford. He extends his hitting streak to 4 games. 4th hit of the game for the Cardinals.
Well, we talked about Ray Langford, the kind of abilities that he has, and how much the Cardinals need him in that lineup. So often you look at a club, that one major big bat out of the lineup can make such a difference. And Langford is a very talented player. Had a knee operation in the offseason, and it took him a long time coming back. Missed all of spring training, so he, in essence, is really in spring training right now.
And now Tatis, who struck out in the 3rd, as opposed to the last 3rd inning in which he faced Chan-Ho Park, when he hit 2 grand slams on April 23rd. But tonight, he's 0 for 1 with a walk.
Well, you know darn well that Chan-Ho Park has not forgotten what Tatis has done. He just tried to throw a curveball so hard it slipped out of his hand. He's overthrown now. Both these pitches are just overthrown, but when you think about the kind of hitter that Tatis is, he likes the ball up in the strike zone. Hits some mistake pitches for power. Well, most power hitters really can do that. Problems laying off balls down in the zone, but he has really become a much more selective hitter this year.
And Park falls behind. 3 balls, no strikes. Hundley will head out for a check.
You know, I don't care how long you've been a pro or how mature you are. In your mind, indelibly, you can picture those balls going out of the ballpark against you. the last time you were faced by Tatis. So he was trying to make pitches like Superman. Overthrew his fastball, overthrew the curveball.
Parks will have 3 grand slams this year. Travis Lee hit one off him as well. He's allowed 9 home runs in all.
The guy that throws that hard with a straight fastball, it can't happen. But, you know, when you get, say, you make a mistake in the middle of the plate because you're throwing so hard, you're supplying the power. But he's got a great arm, but he's really trying to crank it up here.
And there is strike 1.
Strangely enough, that was almost a BP pitch or speed fastball. That was 88 miles an hour. Now he throws anywhere from 93 to 96. Todd Hundley got him to relax and pop it on the outside part of the plate.
3-2.
That gun reading said 88. That was harder than 88.
Nobody out. Langford on first. Full count. On Tatis. Langford goes. And there's a base hit into right field. Langford heading towards third. And the Cardinals with runners on the corners. The hit and run executed perfectly. The second baseman Young was headed towards second. And the ball made its way through into right.
Well, this shows some maturity on young Fernando Tatis. Instead of trying to jerk the ball, he took what was given to him. Now, here's a sequence of pitches. You can see Parker wrapped that curveball, overthrew the fastball. He was trying so hard not to make a pitch that Tatis could hit. Now it's a 3-2. This is a good piece of hitting by Tatis. Just saw the grip being set by Chan-Ho Park. He flipped the ball around, and he's a cross-seam fastball pitcher.
Eric Davis takes strike 1. Frustrating evening for Davis. He's come up twice. Once with the bases loaded, once with 2 men on, and has ended both innings. He's stranded 5.
He ends this inning. We've seen something special.
Yes.
Eric Davis, we talked about him before, has a very unique hitting stance, a little like Bobby Bonds, where he holds the bat vertical and holds it close to his body and down low, not over his head, and he stands with it almost standing upright, and he cranks it up almost like a slow pitch softball hitter, lifts the leg and gets going. But he's always hit this way. He makes different adjustments with his hands, but he really hits the ball at down. And you can see why. He takes his hands from this down position back.
2-1 on Davis. Langford the runner on third. Tatis on at first base. Nobody out. Dodgers 4, Cardinals 1.
Todd Hundley trying to calm Chan-Ho Park down, as if to say, slow down now, slow down. What happens when you start to get to a situation where you're in trouble? Pitchers will have 2 things that happen. They start to want to throw harder. They overthrow, but what causes them to do it is by rushing. They want to get that ball to the plate in such a hurry that their whole mechanical delivery gets too fast.
Three and 2. Pedro Borbon Jr. and Jamie Arnold off in the Dodgers bullpen. Full count on Eric Davis. Nobody out. First and third. Park over to first as Tatis slides back in.
There'll be a play on now. If there is any running in this situation, Todd Hundley is predetermined where he's going to go with the ball.
Base hit to left field. Langford scores. Tatis holds at second. RBI number 18 for Davis. Dodgers lead has been cut to 4-2. 3 consecutive Cardinals singles.
Now watch the pitch, and you'll see Eric Davis crank up and get to this ball. Watch him get started. Here he goes, lifts the leg, and he gets the head of the bat on this one. The ball's out away from him, and he hits a bullet through the shortstop area.
Charlie Huff out for a chat at Chandler Park.
Charlie Huff knows his way to the mound. Started out as a relief pitcher, became a starter. Now talking to his guys on the mound. Charlie didn't get there that quickly, though. He's had a hip replacement. He's a little slower than he had been. What he's doing is just trying to take a little time here. Calm his guys down. This is what we're looking for.
You know, we've seen other pitchers who have come over from foreign countries who may not have been as quick to learn the English language to communicate with the coaching staff. But Parth, a couple of years ago, got rid of his interpreter, took classes, watched television, read magazines and books, learned on his own, and has really acclimated himself to the United States.
Yeah, that really is important. It's tough in a different culture not knowing the language. Now the Dodgers are playing up for a bunt here. They're looking for the bunt. You see the bunt defense. Carroll's up real close.
Strike one on Eli Marrero, 0 for 2. Struck out in the 4th.
At least on that pitch he was not bunting. Now he's looking. Now there are many defenses how to defend against this play, but right now the Dodgers, it looks like they have their regular basic defense on. They want Park to get over to the third base line. Karras will charge. Beltry is trying to anchor at third.
0-2 on Marrero. 1 run on 3 hits here in the 6th for the Cardinals. Tatis on at second. Davis down at first base. Nobody out. And the 0-2 from Park. Slow roller in front of the plate. Hundley will go to first.
Well, that's as good as a bunt right there. Hundley made a good, very good play right here, and he also made a good call 2 pitches ago when it looked like, after not looking like he was going to bunt, and the second pitch to Marrero, it looked like it might be a bunt situation. He calls a curveball, so he just called another one, and this ball was nubbed off the end. There's only one play, and this is a nice play. He goes around the ball, and remember, he's had a bad arm. Makes a nice strong throw to first base.
Now pinch hitter for Polanco, J.D. Drew, the rookie who we spoke about in the open. And the crowd reacts as Drew is announced. He struck out 3 times last night. He's 0 for his last 13. He's been suffering from a strained quad. And he will pinch hit for Polanco with 1 out and runners on second and third.
Yeah, we've talked about J.D. Drew a lot, and there's been a lot of talk about how he's off to a slow start. He's been banged up. He's had the bad leg. He had a wrist that was bothering him. This guy is going to be some hitter before his career is over, and probably before this season is over. Got a great attitude toward the game. Hard worker, but he's very, very talented kid.
Batting just .219, 0 for his last 13. 1 out. Tatis, the base runner, on third. Davis out at second.
Well, you just saw Todd Hundley kind of almost knock that pitch down. The catcher now in this situation he knows what he's calling, but he has got to definitely keep everything in front of him with a runner standing there at third base. And the way the ball explodes from Chandler Park, Todd Hundley now is not so much a receiver. He is battling back there, defending the area.
Down the right field line. Takes a crazy hop off the wall. 2-run score. And the Cardinals have tied it. Pinch hit double. Drew breaks out of an 0 for 13, driving in 2 runs.
Those aren't bougie here. That's the fans here chanting Drew. Tony La Russa knows what he's doing. This kid's got a quick bat. Boom, look at him lay the head of the bat on that. That ball looked like it fooled him even a little bit, but he was able to get, even though his rear end flew out a little, he used his hands and hit the ball inside first base.
How about that carom off the wall?
Yeah, that's one you would see down the left field line in Fenway.
So the Cardinals have tied the score, and now we will see another pinch hitter for the pitcher Bottenfield, John Dunston, who we spoke of earlier, who threw to third base last night during the Dodgers' 7-run seventh, but nobody was covering.
Had a rough night last night. Not only did he do that, but with 1 out, he forgot the outs and was doubled up on a fly ball to the outfield. That's a veteran and a very good veteran player.
Mo Vaughn did the same thing earlier this week.
Now, you had mentioned it to me. I hadn't seen that. Now, Tony La Russa has sent Dunston up for a lot of reasons there. He is a very good fastball hitter. He always has been. All his years with the Cubs, he can jump the fastball no matter who's throwing.
5-game hitting streak for Dunston as he hits the dirt.
Wow. This is really wild up there. That was just above his helmet. That was not intentional. That was somebody trying to throw. He's tired. He's trying to throw extra hard. He's overthrowing.
Three runs here in the 6th inning for the Cardinals on 4 base hits, as they have tied the score at 4. Another high and tight one, 2-0.
Yeah, the fans are going, but here comes Davey Johnson. He's seen enough. That was a hanging curveball. That wasn't a fastball.
Well, Park was sailing along over the first 5. He had allowed only 1 run on 3 hits with 8 strikeouts, but will not make it out of the 6th. Jamie Arnold will be the new Dodgers pitcher. Park sits down after 5 and a third innings, leaves with the score tied at 4. Runner on second, Drew, is Park's responsibility. 25-year-old right-hander Jamie Arnold, a non-roster pitcher in spring training, who spent 7 years in the Braves organization. He was a first-round pick by Atlanta in 1992. This will be his 8th appearance, including an emergency start, his first major league start recently against Montreal. He no-hit the Expos over the first 5 innings, picked up the victory.
You know, it's interesting to see a lot of former Braves farmhand pitchers all over baseball with that great staff that they have had over there, especially their starters. And a lot of guys spent a lot of years in the minor leagues in the Braves organization, not able to make it to the major league level. Arnold had a bad arm in '97, had a torn tendon in his forearm, and he's bounced back from that. Tony La Russa was just calling out to J.D. Drew. He's had a tender hamstring, and J.D. Drew was trying to run back and forth while Arnold was warming up at third base, and finally Tony La Russa called out and said, hey, we've got to make a change here.
Well, he's already used 2 pinch hitters this inning, so he does not want to waste another player off the bench to run, so he will use a pitcher.
That's one of the things you don't see much in the American League. You don't see pitchers pinch running, but of course he was in the ball game last night and was sailing along just as much along the lines of Cano Park tonight, and then all of a sudden the roof caved in. But they're checking with him. They got to be careful.
And Dunston flies the first pitch from Arnold into right field to drive in the pinch runner, Maddux, and the Cardinals take the lead.
We talked about the kind of hitter that Dunston was. He's one of those guys that goes up there hacking. He likes the hard stuff, and he's a veteran hitter. And you watch the pitch from Arnold on the outer part of the plate. Nice piece of hitting, shooting the ball into right field. And Jimenez, the pinch runner, scores easily from second base. Tony La Russa really getting production out of his two pinch hitters, I should say. J.D. Drew and Dunston. Now Dunston also can steal a base.
So 2 consecutive pinch hits, driving in 3 runs. Drew a 2-run pinch hit double. Dunston a pinch hit RBI single. Still only 1 away. There goes Dunston, and Bragg fouls it off.
You know, it's interesting to see here now that Tony La Russa's club is up. Now you see them being aggressive on the bases and running and hitting and so on. These are 2 good managers going at one another, and they're trying to get the emotional levels up on their clubs and take hold and try to break the game open, and that's with aggressiveness.
2-1 on Bragg. Cardinals have scored 4 runs this inning on 5 base hits. There goes Dunston again. And the throw from Hundley. He got him. Hundley throws out a potential base stealer for only the 4th time in 32 opportunities.
He got rid of that baby. He shifted out. Now this is the toughest thing for a catcher. Left-handed hitter. Nice break by Dunston, but I'll tell you, Todd Hundley put something on this ball. Perfect throw. The throw from behind a left-handed hitter is tough for a catcher because you got to shift out to make sure you clear him.
Now Bragg heads down to first. Joe McEwing will come to the plate. We spoke with Joe about his excitement this season as a rookie in the majors.
Saying that I wear my uniform under my clothes when I go home, but no, I like to get to the park early and get my work in, and I enjoy being here every day.
His teammates call him Super Joe. He's played 7 positions this year, everywhere but on the mound and behind the plate.
He's added a lot of pizzazz to this ball club. Tony La Russa has said all season long he loves this guy. The way he plays, it's infectious.
I mentioned the pitcher Arnold was a first-round draft pick by Atlanta in '92. That same year, Joe McEwing was selected by the Cardinals in the 28th round.
Now, obviously, McEwing is a spark plug. He makes things happen. And besides that, he's talented. It's not just emotional type play. Take a look. You can see he holds himself back, and it causes him to use the entire field. He pushes his weight back. He likes the fastball out over the plate where he can hit it the other way, but he's very aggressive. But, you know, even though he's a rookie major leaguer, he's been around. He spent so much time, as you mentioned, Kenny, in the minor leagues.
In the dirt. Nice block by Hundley. 2-2.
Todd Hundley just did something that philosophically a lot of people say you got to block every pitch. There are some you can't block. You got to use your glove. Watch this. This is in the dirt. Todd can't really get out there to block it. He feels this ball. That is a great athletic play. He looked it right into the glove. If he had gone down on his legs, he never would have blocked that.
Arnold strikes out McEwing to end the Cardinals' 6th, but they score 4 runs and take a 5-4 lead. Back at St. Louis, a 4-run 6th for the Cardinals as they have gone on top. And the new pitcher is 28-year-old right-hander Rick Crosher.
Well, the Cardinals make a lot of use of people throughout their bullpen. Now, what I'm saying by that is Tony La Russa has known throughout baseball, and he used to do it with the White Sox and in Oakland, making use of the left-right matchups And they've got so many guys in the bullpen. They got 8 guys listed in the bullpen tonight, and that's what Tony will do. He'll go left, right, and see what he can do. Now we're kind of in a long relief role in this situation, but he brings in the big right-hander, Crocier. When you take a look at his numbers in 4 innings, you see 8 strikeouts. That's a nice ratio. You know that he can pop the ball by somebody.
Crocier will face Gary Sheffield leading off the Dodgers' 7th. Sheffield 2 for 3. He's doubled his last 2 times up. Edgar Renteria now in at shortstop for the Cardinals. And Sean Dunston, who pinch hit for the pitcher Bottenfield, replaces Tatis at third base. Remember, Fernando had been suffering from the flu. This one well hit into left, but Langford takes the catch on the warning track to retire. Gary Sheffield not away.
Well, we talk about Sheffield having such a quick bat. He was really quick on this ball up in the strike zone, but he hit it right off the end of the bat. If that ball is about 1.5 inches down the bat a little bit more, that's up in the bleachers. Take a look at that last swing by Gary Sheffield. Look at him crank the bat up, and then here it is. The ball is about letter high. He just hits it off the end of the bat a little too much. He thought at first he had it, but then realized he didn't get it on the sweet spot of the bat.
Here's Raul Mondesi. 2 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. He's reached base in all 3 plate appearances tonight. Ground ball to Dunston at third. 2 away.
He's still got that gun, doesn't he, from the left side of the infield? He struggled when he was with Cleveland. Cleveland tried to use him as a second baseman. He just was uncomfortable on the other side of the field. But he can make use of that rocket arm he still has at third base, as he used to at shortstop for the Cubs for so many years.
So with 2 outs, here's Todd Hundley. Hundley 1 for 3 tonight. He takes ball 1 from Crocier.
Well, Crocier's a big guy, we mentioned, 6'4", 210. He throws the ball hard. You see the gun readings, he's in the low 90s, and he comes right at you. And Tony uses him in spots like this. Just come right at the hitters he faces. Don't mess around. That was one of those pitches where the catcher's getting out of the way. He's not knowing where it's going. So he tells the umpire, Randy, you better get out of the way with me. You have to slide out so we can let you play another day.
The 2-0, smashed it to right. Second base hit of the game for Todd Hundley.
See Todd Hundley take all that hardware off. It's almost like armor that the hitters use now on that front elbow. Mo Vaughn wears that big patch. Canseco. Todd has it on his arm. And got to laugh at Bash Brothers when it was McGuire and Canseco with Oakland. They used to hang over the plate. They didn't have all that padding at that time. They took a lot of shots there, but
Jose Canseco with 12 home runs this year, one off the major league lead.
oh, those guys are tough. They're so big, they hang over the plate. They challenge you to throw the ball almost in at them, you know, and then they turn and hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Karros takes a strike, 1-1. Karros 0 for 3. He's the only Dodger, aside from the pitcher Park, who has not reached base tonight. Fly ball right field, and the catch is made by Eric Davis on one knee. And that will do it for the Dodgers in the 7th. 7th inning stretch time. McGuire, Langford, Renteria, 2 up. From Busch Stadium on FX Baseball Saturday night, Kenny Albert, along with Jeff Torborg, St. Louis Cardinals have come from behind. They lead the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-4 as we move to the seventh, bottom of the seventh. And check out, once again, the last out in the top half of this inning.
Well, this is not lack of athleticism. This is a ball that gets in the bank of lights, which is right above the Dodger dugout. Eric Davis was fighting that one. He was trying to get underneath that light so he could see the ball.
All 48,308 who are in attendance here today have returned to their seats from the refreshment stands and the restrooms because the big guy is at the plate.
Sure is. He has been quoted recently as that they've really made some great pitches on him, and they really have. And I think a lot of times when you make good pitches on a hitter such as Mark, he expands his strike zone just a little bit and starts to get a little anxious. The first pitch that he fouled back was really a little too far in for where he wanted it. Good swing there on a breaking ball.
Not a piece of it, stays live. 0-2. Bounce it off the catcher, Hundley.
For all the gear you have on, you still can get smacked. And with Mark McGwire, the way he gets that bat moving, we talked about he's 6'5", 250 pounds, but he's got a real short stroke for a power hitter. Prefers the ball down, just takes the head of that bat and drops it on the ball down. The way to get him out, if you can, is to get it hard up and in on him and then make him chase breaking balls low and away.
Here's the 0-2 from Arnold. Wire held up, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
God, Hunter's still shaking that left foot. That foul tip missed his shin guards and got him on the top of his left foot.
And McGwire strikes out for the second consecutive at-bat for the first out of the Cardinals' 7th.
Mark had some good swings. There were some pitches that were just off the plate. But here's the pitch sequence. The first ball ran in on him a little bit and got on the handle of the bat. Here's the second pitch, is a breaking ball. He pulls foul. Another breaking ball, he fouls off a Todd Hundley. Fastball, he fouls off a Hundley. Breaking ball down, misses. Now they get one that's low and away and get him. And Mark is right. They're making some darn good pitches on him. And obviously you want to make sure. And first of all, you don't see the ball out of the ballpark. Can you imagine? You're not very far away from him. 60 feet, 6 inches. He's liable to hit a bullet through the middle.
Ray Langford takes a strike. He's 1 for 2. Scored a run in the 6th. Led off the 6th with a single. The first of 3 consecutive Cardinals hits. 5 in all in the inning. They scored 4 runs. Houston out ahead of San Francisco 10-5 in the 8th. Coming into play today, Dodgers a half game behind the San Francisco Giants in the National League West. Two and 2 on Langford. Ground ball, Young not able to make the play. It rolls into center field. Second base hit of the game for Langford.
Sometimes when you watch major leaguers so much, you forget how good they really are. This was a pitch on Langford that was really running in on him. And he's that strong that he got his hands inside the ball and he hit it back through the middle.
Now Edgar Renteria will bat for the first time. Came on the top of the inning at shortstop. Renteria batting .252 in his first season as a Cardinal after 3 years with the Florida Marlins. He won a world championship in '97.
And Kenny, you mentioned world championship, and one of his teammates Gary Sheffield, and he hits a lot like him. You'll see how his hands get wrapped up, and he hits a lot like him. Not nearly as strong.
Well, it's a foul.
But it's interesting to watch. In days gone by, people say there's no way a major league hitter can hit like this. Julio Franco, years ago, when he first came up playing for the Indians, started using this type of stance with his, but he didn't wiggle it as much. He had the head of the bat aimed toward the pitcher. And we'll give you a shot when he sets up here. He sets up and he wraps the bat all the way back this way, and he wiggles it, and then he gets it back to the hitting position.
Fluke pitches shallow right. Langford moves over to second. Renteria on at first.
Boy, does he fight this ball off, so much so he breaks his bat. But again, he's got enough going. This type of stance generates a little juice in your hands. He gets it going through, and he gets his hands inside, even though he breaks the bat just enough to get it over second base. He throws what's left of the bat out of his hand on the way down. It's like a baton from a track meet.
Langford down at second. Renteria on at first. One away. Eric Davis. 1 for 3, run scoring single in the 6th after he stranded 5 runners in his first 2 at bats. Strike called, 0-1.
Boy, you watch Eric Davis hit, you wonder how he ever hits out of this stance. But he gets everything going early, and he's extremely strong. But he lifts his front leg, then takes his bat back.
One on Davis. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Watching Todd Hundley give a number of signs as a runner at second base, so the catcher and pitcher have a predetermined set of signs. Very often they'll say second sign or last sign.
Ground ball to the shortstop, Bridgelonic. There's 1. 6-4 Cardinals. Ball got away from Carroll, and Langford came in to score.
Hey, this was heads-up base running and coaching. Langford running all the way, never slowed down. Rene Latchman kept him coming. Here's the play, the feed. Bridgelonic, Eric Young comes across the base. Here's the feed again. I think Young's throw, no, it was really not a bounce. It was close to a short hop. And Carroll thought he might have to, no, I guess it did bounce. It's tough to tell, but the good part of it for the Cardinals was that Ray Langford wasn't messing around. He was running. And Rene Latchman, the third base coach, kept him rolling.
And normally, you cannot assume a double play, but because Langford came in to score, an error was charged to the first baseman, Aaron Carroll. Under normal circumstances, without the base runner, no error would have been given on the play because you cannot assume the double play. He did get the out at second.
Yes.
Third error of the season charged to Carros. Guerrero, fly ball right field. Mondesi makes the catch. But the Cardinals score another run on 2 hits and now lead the Dodgers 6-4. Welcome back to St. Louis. Cardinals lead 6-4. A 4-run 6th for St. Louis. And for the Dodgers, Raul Mondesi with 2 hits, extending his hitting streak to 8 games. Double switch for the Cardinals as Willie McGee comes on in left field. And the new pitcher, he pitched for you, Jeff, in Chicago with the White Sox, and he spent the last 3 seasons with the Dodgers.
Scott Radinsky is really tough on left-handed hitters. We brought him right up from A-ball to the big leagues in 1990. Did a terrific job out of the bullpen. He's another guy who's battled back from cancer.
Cardinals have 3 of them.
that, you know, you're seeing more and more in baseball. In fact, we would be remiss if we didn't mention Tommy McCraw, the hitting coach of the Houston Astros, just one super fine guy. Just they found out that he's had a problem, and Marrero and Eric Davis here with the Cardinals to go along with Scott Radinsky had been through it as well. So we send our best wishes to Tommy McCraw, hoping everything works out for him.
Todd Hollinsworth leading off the 8th against Radinsky. Hollinsworth 2 for 2. He also walked tonight. Radinsky saved 13 games for the Dodgers last year. In 62 appearances, he was 6-6 in his 3rd and final season with the Dodgers. He was signed by the Cardinals as a free agent in November.
Scott was funny when he first came to the big league, and I told you this story. We brought him up, and his fastball moves all over the place. He throws from a low arm angle, real strong guy. See how much action he gets on. He was a competitive bike rider. You can almost see it in his legs. But he came to the big leagues. We'd use him against the tough left-handed hitters, and I had used him a number of times against Don Mattingly. I think Don was 0 for 7 against him. One night I told Brad, well, late in the game, when Don Mattingly comes up, I'll get you up and get you ready for the game. He turns to our bullpen coach, Dave LaRoche, and said, who's this Mattingly guy that Skip has been talking about? He didn't even know who he was. And I think maybe that's the best way to play this game, not being worried about any big reputation.
Who's that Mattingly guy?
Yeah, got a live arm, boy. I think he's the lead singer in a punk rock band as well.
Wasn't he in Jack McDowell's band at one point when they were with the White Sox together?
You know, he might have been. He and Wayne Edwards, another pitcher we had, a left-hander, yeah.
Rick Purser worked 1 inning of relief for the Cardinals. Sliced foul down the left field line. The starter, Kent Bottenfield, was pinch hit for in the 6th with the score tied at 4, but the pinch hitter Dunston singled in a run. So Bottenfield stands to earn the victory after he struggled a bit early on. He allowed 3 hits in the 2nd, 2 runs on 3 hits in the 4th. But unless the Dodgers tie the score or take the lead, Bottenfield will pick up his team-leading 6th win of the year. Here, Radinsky issues a leadoff walk to Hollinsworth, who reaches base for the 4th time tonight.
And that's what really hurts. You bring the left-hander to face the left-hander, and you know he has good stuff. You have a 2-run lead, and he walks the leadoff hitter. Obviously, he wasn't trying to do that, but you know, you stand in there as a pitching coach and a manager, and he just bites at you when something like that happens.
Now Mark Grudzielanek, who's 1 for 3 with an RBI, and he takes ball 1. Radinsky over to first.
Just watching very closely in the Cardinal dugout, you can see Tony La Russa is really intent on the third base coach just to see if there's anything on here.
Strike called, 1-1.
Now this might be a situation that Davey Johnson might want to try to move his runner and might try something to get the runner in motion, but there are a lot of managers that will not mess around with running a runner against a left-handed pitcher without being sure that he can get the jump, because that way an infielder will not be out of position.
Radinsky off the mound, go to second, and they get the lead runner, Hollinsworth.
Well, this is a very close play, and one of the things you want to make sure of is 1 out, especially when you have a 2-run lead. This play is being called by the catcher. Radinsky's a good athlete, comes up with the ball and throws a strike to second base and just gets him at second.
Dave Duncan out to the mound to chat with Scott Radinsky, who will see a pinch hitter right here, Trip Cromer. Cromer came up through the Cardinals system. He was their third-round pick in 1989. He underwent Tommy John surgery last year. This season, he's 2 for 12. Check that, 2 for 11 and 2 for 4 as a pinch hitter. Cromer batting for the pitcher Arnold.
One of the things you might say is, well, when Scott Radinsky walked the leadoff hitter, why didn't Tony La Russa go to the bullpen, bring in the right-hander to face a right-hander? They don't want to see Dave Hansen, a real good left-handed pinch hitter the Dodgers have.
Hansen is 7 for 12. Pinch hitter this season.
As a manager, you sit there, you look at your lineup cards, you know who's sitting on their bench, you know who they might pinch hit for. So you like to nullify that a little bit if you can. And obviously that pitch that Radinsky just threw to Grizzolano goes right into Kitchen.
Once again, back to the box. Radinsky, position over to McGuire, double play. 1-6-3 to end the Dodgers' threat in the 8th. Back in St. Louis, bottom of the 8th inning with the Cardinals leading the Dodgers 6-4. And the new Dodgers pitcher is Mike Maddux, brother of Greg Maddux, who lost for the third time this year for the Atlanta Braves. Mike Maddux recalled earlier this month from Class A San Bernardino. He's pitched for 8 major league teams, a career record of 36 and 34. He's made 3 appearances this season with the Dodgers. He pitched in 4 games for the Expos in April, refused a minor league assignment for Montreal, and was released. And Mike Maddux pitched for you in New York with the Mets.
He did. He had struggled. He'd come up in his early part of his career in the Philly organization, then he'd hurt his arm, and he ended up with the Dodgers, gave him a chance, and then ended up down in San Diego, did a very good job, and we needed some bullpen help with the Mets, so we were able to trade for him. Real good competitor, smart pitcher, a lot like his brother in the sense that he knows how to pitch. And the Dodgers feel like with a veteran such as Mike in the middle of their bullpen, it really could help them over the long haul.
Fan favorite, 40-year-old Willie McGee. We're back for the first time. McGee batting .294 this season. In his 18th Major League campaign. McGee, Dunston, Bragg for the Cardinals. Here in the 8th, they lead the Dodgers 6-4 as McGee takes strike 1. Cardinals looking to end their 3-game losing streak. They're only 2-6 on this homestand. In the game tomorrow, Cardinals will pull Juan Acevedo out of the bullpen. He will make the start against Ismael Valdez.
That's interesting. With the emergence of Ricky Bottalico starting to throw the ball a little better, and Acevedo having a little tough time in the pen, and also making it clear that he would like to start, has the arsenal to be a good starter. He's got a lot of different pitches.
Started some games last year for the Cardinals, but also picked up 15 saves to lead St. Louis.
Well, he's got the mentality he can do either. But with the kind of stuff, there are a lot of relief pitchers that don't have enough off-speed pitches that they can go more than an inning or two. Well, in this case, Acevedo has the kind of stuff to be a good starter, too.
Maddux strikes out Willie McGee for the first out in the bottom of the 8th. Well, Jeff, Monday on the X-Files, Scully and Mulder are forced to play the games of a dangerous mind-controlling killer. The X-Files, Monday and every weeknight at 8 and 11 on FX. And we're not talking about Vin Scully.
And there he is, the Hall of Famer. One of the finest human beings I've ever met in my life. This guy is really something special.
Vin Scully doing the game on the Dodgers television side tonight. Jack Buck in the Cardinals booth. A couple of Hall of Famers. As Sean Dunston flies out to to Todd Hollandsworth in center. 2 outs in the Cardinals' 8th.
Well, Vinny wouldn't like to hear this, but I remember listening and watching Vince Scully when he started over 50 years ago with the Dodgers. He was just a kid in New Jersey, and of course he came out of Fordham University and has been the voice of the Dodgers. And a couple of years ago they did a poll on who's the most popular Dodger ever. Vince Scully.
Not Jeff Torborg?
I've done a list a little.
Darren Bragg takes ball 1 from Mike Maddux. Would you say Vince Scully saw more of your games that you played in the major leagues than anybody?
At least as many. Well, there weren't very many of them, so it wouldn't have taken a whole lot. But, oh, boy, is he something. I mean, that golden voice. I was fortunate to do 3 World Series with him on the radio. And, oh, what an experience.
Base hit into center field. Second hit of the game for Darren Bragg. Wide turnaround first.
Well, we talked about Darren Bragg having banged up hands, and it certainly hasn't slowed him down any. Maybe it's even helped him from overswinging. Look where this ball is. This ball is that you see Todd Hundley almost backhanding the ball on the ground, and Bragg just flips it into the outfield.
So now the fans hope that Joe McEwing can reach base, which would give them another Mark McGwire at bat to watch before heading home tonight.
Me too. We're all fans.
Yes. Strike 1 to McEwing. One and one.
We were talking about Mike Maddux, his old batter he made for the Mets behind the plate for him. Todd Hundley, so they obviously know how to work together.
Throw by Maddux in the dirt.
That was an interesting sign. Did you see that he wiggled his thumb? That was a throw-over sign, the throw over to first base. That came from the dugout. Normally the dugouts will tell you whether to throw over, step off, pitch out. And that should be a fastball inside.
Fouled into the Dodgers dugout, 1 and 2.
There's a whole different communication type of language that catchers and pitchers use, you know, with a finger set and showing location of where you want the pitches. In the old days, everybody used to pat one side or the other. Now they point with their fingers, either the index finger or the little finger, as to what side of the plate they want it. Charlie Huff there didn't need any signs. All he threw was knuckleballs.
Must have made life easy on his catchers.
Oh, I like Charlie a whole lot, but I didn't like his knuckleball. First game I ever went in with him, he got called into a game in Pittsburgh, and we went in together. Ends up with the bases loaded, and he throws a pitch to Willie Stargell, and I don't lay any leather on it whatsoever, and it hits the backstop, bounces right back to me, and nobody advances. My heart was pounding so hard in my ear, and finally he struck him out at the next pitch. I was so glad that was over.
Here's the 2-2 to McEwing. Full count.
Barry Karras is now asking, you want me to play behind him? And of course, the first baseman always has to let the pitcher know that he's not on, or he can easily throw the ball away or throw an unoccupied base balk before the pitch is even made.
There goes the runner. This one well hit to left field. It is out of here. First Major League home run for Joe McEwing.
Coach very happy with one of his best pupils. pitch, 3-2. Oh, right in the middle of the plate, an off-speed pitch.
Now McGuire, deep left center, but this one will be caught by the center fielder Hollingsworth. But the Cardinals add 2 on the first career home run off the bat of McEwing. In his 44th Major League game, Joe McEwing goes deep, his first Major League home run. Our Kodak play of the game.
He got all of it. As you mentioned, and not having any other Major League home runs, he wasn't too sure, so he was running it out. He should get that ball back, gets into the Dodger bullpen, and they should save it for him.
He's only 7 behind McGuire.
Well, we talked in our open about how stranger things have happened this year, especially with in the Redbird uniform.
McEwing hit 15 in the minor leagues last year. He extends the Cardinals' lead to 8-4. They've scored 7 of their 8 runs from the 6th inning on. And now Ricky Bottalico will come on to try and close out the Dodgers, his 16th appearance. Earned run average of 1.08. He's allowed only 2 earned runs in 16 2/3. And as we mentioned just a short while ago, at least for the moment, he is the closer with Juan Acevedo making the start tomorrow.
Well, of course, he's come off arm surgery. He had elbow surgery last year. It took him a long time to get back. But he's coming right at him. You take a look at Bottalico, low fastball in the low 90s. Curveball, he has downer action too, doesn't use it that much. He has a good changeup, very aggressive. You can take a look at his face. There's the curveball. Former catcher. Why he's so aggressive.
Well, Tony La Russa feels that Bottalico and Radinsky are pretty much interchangeable in the 8th and 9th innings, depending on who the batters are. Acevedo and Radinsky have 3 saves apiece. Bottalico has 1. Base hit it to right field. First hit of the game for Eric Young. The executive producers of FX Baseball Saturday Night are Arthur Smith and Bill Borson. The coordinating producer of FX Baseball Saturday Night is Larry Myers. The head of field operations is Andrea Jenkins. And a tremendous job, as usual, by our crew here in St. Louis, led by producer Jim Zrake, director Jeff Mitchell, along with Matt Lipp, Mitch Rubenstein, Mark Alsmeyer, and Ken Breitstein. Adrian Beltre, 1 for 4 with an RBI. Young with a leadoff single here in the 9th. Beltre takes ball 1. 1-1.
Well, that's the deal that the Cardinals made to get Bottalico should work out. They've got a guy that's done it before. In 1996 for the Phillies and 97 for the Phillies, he had 34 saves. And the Cardinals traded Jeff Brantley, who had a 10-year arm over to the Phillies. Brantley has had a strange thing over there. His arm bothered him again. He got a couple opinions, and now his arm's feeling pretty good. I think Dr. Andrews down in Birmingham suggested that he take a shot and see how it feels instead of being operated on again.
1-2 the count on Beltre. Gary Sheffield waiting on deck. Dodgers 4 runs on 11 hits, 1 error. Cardinals 8 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error. Beltre got a piece of it.
As our scouting report said, that Ricky Bottalico is a power-type pitcher, really comes right at you. Does show off-speed stuff, but he'll see if he can get you out with a fastball. If he has to, then he'll change speeds.
One away during the Dodgers' ninth. As Young moves over to second. 6-3 ground out by Beltran.
Beltran was flying down that line. That was a nice play by Renteria. In this situation, you just want to get an out. That really shows something about that young Beltran. Boy, he was really running down that line. You could hear him hit that base. He was trying so hard to beat it out.
Now Gary Sheffield, who had 2 doubles earlier, he drove in a run in the 5th.
Italico, there's a term that baseball people use about maximum effort guys, meaning they throw everything they got at you. He really jumps off back leg and really comes at you, and his back leg flies up after he throws the ball.
Third base hit of the game for Gary Sheffield. Young around third. He will score. It is now 8-5 St. Louis. Second RBI tonight, 24th of the year for Gary Sheffield.
You see a concerned Tony La Russa talking to the bullpen. That last out is always the toughest one to get, which they still need 2, but it's always been the saying that 27th out is the toughest. Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, going out to talk to Ricky Bottalico.
Raul Mondesi will come to the plate. He's 2 for 3 tonight. The potential tying run is on deck. Lance Painter is up again in the Cardinals pen.
See that Dave Duncan has been with Tony La Russa for a long time, and very successfully so. They were the 2 guys that converted Dennis Eckersley to a relief pitcher. Dennis is on the way to the Hall of Fame as a result of that. Successful starter beforehand, but not Hall of Fame starter. Dave Duncan, a catcher in his time. Oakland, Cleveland, Baltimore.
Eckersley at first resisted, but said recently it was the best thing that ever happened to him in his baseball career. Fouled off by Mondesi, 0-1. Everything else a final. In the majors, the Astros have beaten the Giants 10-5, so momentarily, for the moment, the Dodgers are in a first-place tie atop the NL West with San Francisco, depending, of course, on the outcome of this game. San Francisco now 21-16, the Dodgers 20-15. Arizona, with their win today, also tied with San Francisco. So a 3-way tie. Well hit center field off the bat of Mondesi on a warning track. The catch is made by Brad. That would have been number 14 with a couple more feet.
You can see Mondesi, he's running back, kind of flipping his hand. He thought he got it, but he wasn't sure. Here's a swing. Just under the hair. He's pulling for the thing to go out. Like a little body English with his head, and then he sees the outfielder under it. Oh.
And now the Dodgers down to their final out in the person of Todd Hundley. 1 out away from falling into 3rd place in the NL West, with San Francisco and Arizona tied. Hundley tonight 2 for 4. Big inning for the Cardinals was the 6th. They chased Chan-Ho Park. 4 runs on 5 hits in the 6th inning. The big blow, the 2-run double by the pinch hitter J.D. Drew, breaking an 0 for 13 slump. Pinch hitter Sean Dunston then singled in the go-ahead run. So 2 6th-inning moves by Tony La Russa, paving the way for what will be an 8-5 St. Louis victory as the Cardinals put an end to their 3-game losing streak, and the Dodgers' 2-game win streak comes to an end. Joe McEwing hit his first career home run for the insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th. So the Cardinals win it over the Dodgers by the score of 8-5. Join us Thursday on Fox Sports Net. Some of you will see the Yankees and the Red Sox. Others, the Astros and the Dodgers. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Next week, FX Baseball Saturday night takes its place on the Saturday Night Bash with the Yankees and the White Sox, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Coming up next on FX, fast food films on the East Coast. Mash in progress out west. For Jeff Torborg, Kenny Albert saying so long. You've been watching Baseball Saturday Night on FX.